Okay, welcome back everyone to the Great Bible Read Through. I've read through part of Samuel, or 1 Samuel. So here we'll continue here with chapter 17, David and Goliath. So here we go. No. Okay, so the Philistines gathered their host to battle and came together to Shoco, which is in Judah, and pitched between Shoco and Azekah in the coast of Damim. And Saul and the men of Israel came together and pitched in the Oak Valley and put themselves in array to fight against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a hill on the one side, and Israel stood on a hill on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there came a man between them both out of the tents of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, 6 cubits and an handbreadth long was his height, and had a helmet of brass upon his head and a coat of mail about him. And the weight of his coat of mail was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had boots of brass upon his legs, and a shield of brass upon his shoulders. And the shaft of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spearhead weighed 600 shekels of iron. And one bearing a shield went before him, and he stood and cried against the host of Israel, and said unto them, Why are you come out in array to battle? Am not I a Philistine, and you servants to Saul? Choose you a man from among you, and let him come down to me. And if he be able to fight with me and to beat me, then will I be your servant. Then will we be your servants. And if I can overcome him and beat him, then shall you be our servants and serve us. And the Philistine said, I defy the host of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were discouraged and greatly afraid. And David, the son of an Ephrathite, of whom mention is made afore, of Bethlehem, Judah, or the son of an Ephrathite named Jesse, which had 8 sons, was the son of an Ephrathite, and was an old man. Jesse was an old man in the days of Saul, and came to age among men. And the eldest 3 sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to battle were Eliab the eldest, the next Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the least. And the 3 eldest went after Saul. David also went and departed from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine came forth in the morning and evening, and continued 40 days. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and 10 loaves, and bring it unto the host to thy brethren. And carry these 10 fresh cheeses unto the captain, and look how thy brethren fare, and fetch out their pledge. And Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the Oak Valley fighting with the Philistines. And David rose up early in the morning, and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him, and came within the compass of the host. And the host went out in array, and shouted in the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put themselves in array, the one against the other. And David took down the gear from him, and put them under the hands of the keeper of the vessels, and ran unto the host, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there stood a man in the midst, Goliath the Philistine by name, of Gath, out of the array of the Philistines, and spake of the manner above rehearsed, that David heard it. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, ran away from him, and were sore afraid. And every man of Israel said, Saw ye this man come forth? Even to revile Israel is he come. And to him that beateth him will the king give great riches, and will give him his daughter thereto, yea, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by, and said, What shall be done to the man that beateth this Philistine, and taketh away the shame from Israel? And what is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should revile the host of the living God? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that beateth him. And Eliab his eldest brother heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab was angry with David, and said, Why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride, and the malice, or mischief of thine heart, that thou art come down to see the battle. And David said, And what have I now done? Let me see here. Okay. What have I now done? Is there not a word? And he departed from him into the presence of another, and spake of the same manner. And the people answered him again as before, or on the same manner. And they that heard the words which David spake rehearsed them before Saul, which caused him to be fetched. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail him because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with yonder Philistine. And Saul said to David again, or in return, Thou art not able to go against yonder Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a child. But he is a man of war even from his youth. David answered unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion, and likewise a bear, and took a sheep out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and took it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by the beard, and smote him, and slew him. And so thy servant slew the lion, and the bear also hath thy servant slain. And truly this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them. Now will I go and take away the rebuke of the people. For what is this uncircumcised Philistine, seeing he hath railed on the host of the living God? David spake moreover, The Lord that delivered me out of the hand of the lion and out of the hand of the bear, he shall deliver me also out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, Go, and the Lord shall be with thee. And Saul put his raiment upon David, and put an helmet of brass upon his head, and put a coat of mail upon him, and girded David with his own sword upon his raiment. And he essayed to go, and because he never proved it, David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not used myself thereto, or accustomed myself. And David put them off him, and took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of a brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, and in a sling poke, and his sling was in his hand. And he went to the Philistine. The Philistine came and drew near against David, or across from David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but young, and well coloured, and goodly to look upon. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with a staff? And the Philistine cursed David in the name of his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword and a spear and shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the host of Israel, whom thou hast railed upon. This day shall the Lord deliver thee into my hand, and I shall smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the earth, that all they which be in the world may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this congregation shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he shall give you into our hands. And when the Philistine arose to come and draw nigh unto David, David hasted and ran into the battle, even against the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, and took out a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell groveling to the earth. And so David overcame the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and smote the Philistine, and slew him, even when David had no sword in his hand. But David ran, and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of his sheath, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted, and followed after the Philistines until they came to the valley, and unto the gates of Akron. And the Philistines fell down wounded by the way to Saraim, even unto Gath and Akron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine, and brought it to Jerusalem, and he put his armor in his tent. When Saul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of his host, Abner, whose son is this young man? Abner answered, As truly as thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, Inquire thou whose son the youngling is. And when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul, with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said to him, Whose son art thou, thou young man? David answered, I am the son of thy servant, Jesse the Bethlehemite. So, Saul certainly knew him and recognized him, but didn't know his family. So, 18. The bond between David and Jonathan. Saul goeth about to slay David. And when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day, and would let him go no more home to his father's house. And Jonathan made a covenant with David, because he loved him as his own soul. Jonathan put off his own coat that was upon him, and gave it David, and thereto his cloak, his sword, and his bow and his girdle. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over his men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and in the sight of Saul's servants. And it happened as they went, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing against King Saul, ahead of him, and with timbrels, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another in their play, and said, Saul hath slain his 1,000, and David his 10,000. And Saul was exceeding wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, They have ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me but 1,000. And what can he more have, save the kingdom? Wherefore Saul looked on side of David from that day forward. He looked on side of David, distrusted him. And it happened on the morrow that the evil spirit sent of God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. David played with his hand like as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul took the javelin and said, I will nail David to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence 2 times. And Saul was afeared of David, because the Lord was with him, and was departed from Saul. Therefore Saul put him from him, and made him a captain over 1,000, and he went out and in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. Wherefore, when Saul saw that he was so exceeding wise, he was afraid of him, or because of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, because he went out and in before them. And Saul said to David, Behold, my eldest daughter Merab, her I will give thee to wife. Only play the man with me, and fight the Lord's battles. For Saul thought, Mine hand shall not be upon him, but the hand of the Philistines. And David answered Saul, What am I, and what is my life for the kindred of my father in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king? Howbeit, when the time was come that Merab Saul's daughter should have been given to David, she was given unto Adriel the Maholathite to wife. Howbeit, Michal Saul's daughter loved David. And they showed Saul, and the thing displeased him not. And Saul said, I will give him her, that she may be a snare to him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Wherefore Saul said to David, Thou shalt this day be my son-in-law in the other daughter. And Saul commanded his servants, or in the matter of my other daughter. Saul said unto his servants, to commune with David secretly. This is commune spelled C-O-M-E-N. Commune with David secretly, and say, Behold, the king hath a favor to thee, and all his servants love thee. Be now therefore the king's son-in-law. And Saul's servants spake those words in the ears of David, and David said, Seemeth it to you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law? I am a poor man, and of small reputation. And the servants brought Saul word again, saying, Of this manner spake David. And Saul said, This wise shall ye say to David, The king careth for no other dowry, but for 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to be avenged of the king's enemies. But Saul thought to make David fall into the hands of the Philistines. And when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law. And ere the days were expired, David arose with his men, and went and slew of the Philistines 200 men. And David brought their foreskins, and satisfied the king thereof to be his son-in-law. Wherefore Saul gave him Michal his daughter to wife. And Saul saw and understood how that the Lord was with David, and that Michal his daughter loved him, and he was the more afraid of David. And Saul became alway David's enemy. The lords of the Philistines used, or were accustomed to go forth. And it fortuned that when they went forth, David behaved himself wiselier than all the servants of Saul, such that his name was much set by in value. 19. Saul commandeth to slay David. Michal his wife saveth him. Saul spake to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, had a great favor toward David. And Jonathan told David, saying, Saul my father goeth about to slay thee. Now therefore take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in some secret place, and hide thyself. And I will go out, and stand by my father in the field where thou art, and will commune with my father of thee, and whatsoever I see I will tell thee. Jonathan spake good of David unto Saul his father, and said unto him, Let not the king sin against his servant David, for he hath not sinned against thee, and his works have been to thee-ward very good. For he did put his life in his hand, and slew the Philistine, and the Lord brought to pass a great health for all Israel. Thou sawest it, and thou rejoicedst. Wherefore then wilt thou sin against innocent blood, and slay David without a cause? Saul hearkened unto the voice of Jonathan, and sware, As truly as the Lord liveth, he shall not die. And Jonathan called David, and showed him all those words, and David and brought David to Saul, and he was in his presence as in times past. And the war began again, and David went out and fought with the Philistines and slew them with a great slaughter, and they fled from him. And the evil spirit sent of the Lord was upon Saul, as he sat in his house, having a javelin in his hand, and David played with his hand. And Saul intended to nail David to the wall with the javelin, but he rid himself out of Saul's presence, or escaped, as he smote the spear with a vain stroke into the wall. And David fled and was saved that same night. Saul also sent messengers unto David's house to watch him and to slay him in the morning. And Michal, David's wife, told it him, saying, If thou save not thyself this night, tomorrow thou wilt be slain. And so Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and was saved. And then she took an image, or a doll, and laid it in the bed, and put a pillow stuffed with goat's hair under the head of it, and covered it with a cloth. And when Saul sent messengers to fetch David, she said, He is sick. And Saul sent the messengers again. Oh. This, again, isn't spelled out all the way. This is abbreviated. Sent the messengers again to see David, saying, Bring him to me, bed and all, that I may slay him. When the messengers were come in, behold, there lay an image in the bed, with a pillow of goat's hair under the head of it. And Saul said unto Michal, Why hast thou mocked me so, and sent away mine enemy, that he is escaped? Michal answered Saul, for he said unto me, Let me go, or else I will kill thee. And so David fled and escaped, and came to Samuel to Ramah, and told him all that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and dwelt in Naioth. And one told Saul, saying, Behold, David is at Naioth in Ramah. And Saul sent messengers to fetch David, and when they saw a company of prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing fast by them, the Spirit of God fell upon the messengers of Saul, and they prophesied too, or as well. And when it was told Saul, he sent other messengers, and they prophesied likewise. And Saul sent messengers yet again the third time, and they prophesied also. Then went he himself to Ramah, and came to a great well that is in Secu. And he asked and said, Where are Samuel and David? And one said, Behold, they be at Naioth in Ramah. And he went thither, even to Naioth in Ramah, and the Spirit of God came upon him also. And he went prophesying until he came to Naioth in Ramah. And he stripped off his clothes and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and fell naked all that day and all that night. And thereof it is that they say, Is Saul also among the prophets? 20. David complaineth unto Jonathan. David fled from Naioth, which is in Ramah, and came and said unto Jonathan, What have I done? Wherein am I faulty? What is the sin that I have committed before thy father, that he seeketh my life? He said unto him, God forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, but that he will show it me. And how should my father hide this thing from me? He will not do it. And David sware again, and said, Thy father knoweth that I have found grace in thine eyes, and therefore, he saith, Jonathan shall not know it, lest he be sorry. And in very deed, even as truly as the Lord liveth, and as truly as thy soul liveth, there is but a step between me and death. Then said Jonathan unto David, Whatsoever thy soul desireth, that I will do unto thee. And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the beginning of the month, and I should sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the fields unto the third day at even. If thy father speak of me, then say, David asked leave of me, that he might go to Bethlehem to his own city, for there is holden a yearly feast for all the kindred there. And if he say, It is well done, then thy servant shall have peace. But and if he be angry, then be sure that wickedness is utterly concluded of him. And then thou shalt show mercy unto thy servant, for thou hast made with me thy servant a bond in the Lord. Notwithstanding, if there be in me any trespass, then slay me thyself, and bring me not to thy father. And Jonathan answered, God keep that from thee, neither is it possible to come to pass. For if I know that wickedness were concluded of my father to come upon thee, thinkest thou that I should not tell it thee? Then said David, Who shall tell me, if thy father answer cruelly? Jonathan said unto David, Come and let us go out into the field. And they went out, both of them, into the field. Jonathan said unto David, The Lord God of Israel look on it, when I have groped sounded my father's mind one time or other within this 3 days, that it stand well with David. If I then send not unto thee, and show it thee, the Lord do so and so to Jonathan. But if my father have any pleasure to do thee evil, I will show thee also, and send thee away, that thou mayest go in peace. And the Lord be with thee, as he hath been with my father. And thou shalt perform unto me the mercy of the Lord, not only while I live, but even when I am dead, and pluck not thy mercy away from my house forever. No, not when the Lord hath destroyed the enemies of David, every one from the face of the earth. And so Jonathan made a bond with the house of David, desiring that the Lord should seek it out by the hands of David's enemies, if it were broken. And with other words did Jonathan swear unto David, because he loved him, for he loved him as his own soul. Then said Jonathan to David, Tomorrow is the first day of the month, and thou shalt be missed, because the place where thou wast wont to sit shall be empty. And the first day of the month is determined by 2 witnesses, but they still predict it. So, obviously, but... And thou shalt be missed, because the place where thou wast wont to sit shall be empty. Or maybe it's already been witnessed, and so then on the morrow they have the feast. I don't know. Therefore, this day 3 days from now, this day 3 days, come down in any wise unto the place where thou didst hide thyself, when the business was in hand, even by the stone Edsel. And I will shoot 3 arrows by the one side thereof, as though I shot them at a mark, and will send a lad, and bid him go seek the arrows. And if I say unto the lad, See, the arrows are on this side thee, bring them, then come thou, for it is peace, and no hurt, as sure as the Lord liveth. But and if I say unto the lad, Behold, the arrows are beyond thee, then go in peace, for the Lord hath sent thee away. And as touching this which thou and I have spoken, behold, the Lord be between thee and me forever. And so David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat, and the king sat him down after the old manner, in his seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side. And David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul said nothing at all that day, for he thought, Something hath chanced him, that he is not clean. But on the morrow, which was the 2nd day of the new moon, it happened that David's place was empty again. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meat, neither yesterday nor today? Jonathan answered unto Saul, David asked license of me to go to Bethlehem, for he said, Let me go, I pray thee, for our kindred doth hold an offering in the city, and my brother hath sent for me. And therefore, if I have found favor in thine eyes, let me go and see my brother. This is the cause that he cometh not unto the king's table. Then was Saul angry with Jonathan, and said unto him, Thou wicked rebel, do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse unto thine own rebuke, and unto the rebuke and shame of thy mother? For as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the earth, thou shalt not be established, nor yet thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he is the child of death. Whoa. Jonathan answered unto Saul his father, and said to him, Wherefore should he die? What hath he done? And Saul lifted up a spear to hit him, whereby Jonathan wist well that it was utterly determined of his father to slay David. And so Jonathan arose from the table in a great anger, and did eat no meat the 2nd day of the month, for he was sorry for David, because his father had done him shame. On the next morning Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David, and a little lad with him, and he said unto his boy, Run and seek out mine arrows, which I shoot. And as the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. And when the lad was come to the place whither Jonathan had shot the arrow, Jonathan cried after the lad, and said, Is not the arrow beyond thee? And Jonathan cried after the lad again, Make speed, and stand not still. And Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrows, and came to his master, but the lad wist nothing of the matter. Only Jonathan and David wist it. And Jonathan gave his weapons unto the lad that was with him, and said unto him, Go and carry them to the town. And as soon as the lad was gone, David arose out of the place that was toward the south, and fell on his face to the ground, and worshipped 3 times. And they kissed each other. They kissed each other, and wept together so long, till David exceeded in weeping. And Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, and the things which we have sworn, both of us, in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord be between thee and me, and between thy seed and mine, let them stand forever. And he rose and departed, and Jonathan went into the town. 21. David fleeth into Nob to Ahimelech the priest, and getteth of him the showbread to satisfy his hunger. Afterward he fleeth to King Achish, and there feigneth him to be mad. Then came David to Nob, to Ahimelech the priest, and Ahimelech was astonied at the sudden coming of David, and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? And David said to Ahimelech the priest, The king hath commanded me to do a certain thing, and hath said unto me, Let no man know whereabout I send thee. and what I have commanded thee to do. And I have appointed my servants to such and such places. Now therefore, if thou hast aught under thine hand, give me 5 loaves of bread, or what cometh to hand. And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under mine hand, but here is hallowed bread, if the young men have kept themselves from unclean women. David answered the priest and said unto him, if they've kept themselves clean. Of a truth, women hath been locked up from us about 3 days when I came out, and the vessels of the young men were holy. Howbeit, this way is unpure, and how much more shall there be holiness in the vessel? And they mean, well, in any wise, this was the bread that was exchanged out for new bread. So it's old. It's the old hallowed bread. And so the priest gave him hallowed bread, for there was no other bread there, save the showbreads that were taken from before the Lord to put fresh bread there, the day that it was taken away. So it was discarded. And it was there the same day a certain man of the servants of Saul abiding before the Lord, named Doeg, an Edomite, the chiefest of Saul's herdmen. And David said unto Ahimelech, Is not here under thine hand other spear, either spear or shield? For I have neither brought my sword nor my harness, my equipment with me, because the king's business required haste. And the priest said, The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom thou slewest in the oak valley, behold, it is here, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If thou wilt take that, take it, for there is no other save that here. There's no other save that here. And David said, There is none to that. There is none in comparison to that. Give it me. And David arose and fled the same day from the presence of Saul, and went to Achish the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said of him, Is not this David the king of the land? Did not they sing unto him in dances, saying, Saul hath slain 1,000, and David is 10,000? David put those words into his heart, and was sore afraid of Achish the king of Gath. And he changed his speech before them, and feigned himself mad in their hands, and scrabbled on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle fall down upon his beard. Then said Achish unto his servants, Lo, ye see that this man is beside himself. Wherefore then have ye brought him to me? Have I need of madmen, that ye have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall he come into my house? Shall he come into my house? 22. Doeg betrayeth David. Ahimelech is accused of treason and slain, and 84 priests more with him, because they received David. Nob is destroyed of Saul, or by Saul. Abiathar fleeth to David. David therefore departed thence, and escaped, and came unto the cave Adullam. When his brethren also and all his father's house heard it, they went down thither to him, and there gathered unto him all men that were in cumbrance and in debt, and troubled in their minds, and he became a captain over them. And there were with him about 400 men. And David went thence to Mizpah in the land of Moab, and said unto the king of Moab, Let my father and my mother, I pray thee, come forth unto you, till I know what God will do for me. And he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the while that David kept himself in hold. And the prophet Gad said unto David, Abide not in hold, but depart and go into the land of Judah. Then David departed and came into the forest Hareth. And Saul heard that David was come abroad, and also the men that were with him. And Saul sat in Gibeah under a tree in Ramah, having a spear in his hand, and all his men stood about him. And Saul said unto his servants that stood about him, Hear, I pray you, you sons of Jemini, you sons of Benjamin, will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards, and make you all captains over thousands and over hundreds, that ye have also conspired against me, and there is none that telleth it me in mine ear? And whereas my son hath made a bond with the son of Jesse, there is none of you that mourneth for me, or showeth it in mine ear. Behold, my son hath stirred up my servant to lie await against me this same day. Then answered Doeg the Edomite, which also stood by the servants of Saul, and said, I saw the son of Jesse when he came to Nob to Ahimelech the son of Ahitub, which asked counsel of the Lord for him, and gave him victuals, and the sword of Goliath the Philistine also. Then the king sent and called for Ahimelech the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, that is to say, the priests that were at Nob. And they came all to the king, and Saul said, Hear now, thou son of Ahitub. He answered, Here I am, my lord. And Saul said unto him, Why have you conspired against me, thou and the son of Jesse, in that thou hast given him victual and a sword, and hast asked counsel of God for him, that he should arise against me, and lie await for me this day? Ahimelech answered the king and said, Who is so faithful among all thy servants as David, and thereto the king's son-in-law, and goeth at thy bidding, and is had in honor in thine house? Have I this day begun first to ask counsel of God for him? That be far from me. Let not the king put such a thing unto his servant in all the house of my father. For thy servant knew nothing of all this, either less or more. The king said, Thou shalt surely die, Ahimelech, thou and all thy father's house. And the king said unto the footmen that stood about him, Turn and slay the priests of the Lord, both because their hand is with David, and because they knew when David fled and showed it not to me. But the servants of the king would not move their hands to fall upon the priests of the Lord. The king said to Doeg, Turn thou and fall upon the priests. And Doeg the Edomite turned and ran upon the priests, and slew that same day 85 persons that did wear a linen ephod. And Nob, the city of the priests, smote he with the edge of the sword, both men and women, children and sucklings, oxen and asses and sheep. And one of the sons of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled to David. And Abiathar showed David how that Saul had slain the Lord's priests. And David said unto Abiathar, I wished it the same day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would tell Saul. And I am the cause of the death of all the souls of thy father's house. Abide thou with me, and fear not. For if any man seek my soul, he shall seek thine also. With me thou shalt be in safeguard. 23. David fleeth into the wilderness of Ziph. It was told David, saying, Behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah and spoil the barns. Therefore David asked the Lord's advice, saying, Shall I go and smite these Philistines? And the Lord answered unto David, Go and smite the Philistines, and save Keilah. And David's men that were with him said unto him, See, we be afraid here in Judah. How much more then, if we come to Keilah against the host of the Philistines? Then David asked the Lord again, and the Lord answered him and said, Arise and go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into thine hand. And so David and his men went to Keilah, and fought with the Philistines, and drove away their cattle, and smote them with a great slaughter. And so David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. And it chanced, when Abiathar the son of Ahimelech fled to David to Keilah, that he brought an ephod with him in his hand. And it was told Saul that David was come to Keilah. And Saul said, God hath delivered him into mine hand. For he is shut in now, that he is come into a town that hath gates and bars. And Saul called all the people together to war, for to go down to Keilah and to besiege David and his men. David, having knowledge that Saul imagined mischief against him, said to Abiathar the priest, Bring the ephod. Then said David, O Lord God of Israel, thy servant hath heard that Saul is about to come against Keilah to destroy the city for my sake. Will the men of Keilah deliver me into his hand? And will Saul come down, as thy servant hath heard say? And, O Lord God of Israel, tell thy servant. And the Lord said, He will come down. Then said David, Will the men of Keilah deliver me and the men that are with me into the hand of Saul? And the Lord said, They will betray you. Not shall, but will. Then David and his men, which were about 600, arose and departed out of Keilah, and went whither they could. And it was told Saul that David was fled from Keilah, and he let the journey alone. David abode in the wilderness in strongholds, and remained in a mountain in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul sought for him every day, but God delivered him not into his hand. And David saw that Saul was come out to seek his life, and David was in the wilderness of Ziph in a thicket. Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David into the thicket, and comforted, strengthened his hand in God, and said unto him, Fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find thee, and thou shalt be king over Israel, and I must be next unto thee. And that doth Saul my father know. And they made a bond, both of them together, before the Lord, and David tarried still in the thicket, and Jonathan went to his house. Then came the Ziphites to Saul to Gibeah, saying, Doth not David hide himself fast by us in strongholds, in a thicket that is by the hill of Hachilah, on the right side of the wilderness? Now therefore, king, thou mayest come down according to all the lust or desire of thy soul. Come down, and our part shall be to deliver him into the king's hand. And Saul said, Blessed are ye in the Lord, for ye have compassion on me. Go, I pray you, and order the matter well. Know and see his haunt, where his foot hath been, and who hath seen him there. For it is told me that he is very subtle, and worketh craftily. See therefore, and know all the lurking places where he hideth himself, and come ye again to me with the certainty, and I will go with you. And if he be in the land, I will search him out throughout all the thousands of Judah. And they arose and went to Ziph before Saul, but David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, in the plain that is on the right hand side, on the right hand of Jeshimon. Saul also and his men went to seek, and they told David, wherefore he went unto a rock in a boat in the wilderness of Maon. And when Saul heard that, he followed after David in the wilderness of Maon, and Saul and his men went on the one side of the mountain, and David and his men on the other side. And David took thought how to get from Saul. For Saul and his men compassed David and his men round about to take them. But there came a messenger to Saul, saying, Haste thee and come, for the Philistines are come into the land. Wherefore Saul returned from persecuting David, and went against the Philistines. And therefore is it that they call the place the Rock of Separation. And David went thence and dwelt in strongholds at Engedi. Rock of Separation. Let's see. 24. David fleeth into Engedi, and there hideth him in a cave. Saul cometh in thither to do his easement. When Saul was come again from following after the Philistines, it fortuned that there were ones which told him, saying, Behold, David is in the wilderness of Engedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and went to seek David and his men in the height of the rocks, where wild goats remain. And he came to the flocks of sheep in the way, and Saul went into a cave to cover his feet. And David and his men remained in the inward parts of the cave. And the men of David said unto him, See, the day is come, of which the Lord said unto thee, Behold, I will deliver thine enemies into thine hand, and thou shalt do to him as it shall seem good in thy sight. Then David arose and cut off a lap of Saul's garment privily. A lap, a piece. And immediately David's heart smote him, because he had cut off a lap of Saul's garment. And he said unto his men, The Lord keep me from doing that thing unto my master the Lord, from doing that thing unto my master the Lord's anointed, to lay mine hand upon him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord. For as truly as the Lord liveth, except the Lord smite him, or except his day come, or if he go not down to war and perish, the Lord be merciful unto me, that I lay not my hand upon the Lord's anointed. And so David kept off his servants with these words, and suffered them not to rise against Saul. And Saul rose up out of the cave and went away, and David also arose and went out of the cave, and cried after Saul, saying, My Lord King. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped to the earth and bowed himself, and said to Saul, Wherefore givest thou an ear to men's words, that say, David seeketh evil against thee? Behold, this day thine eyes have seen how that the Lord had delivered thee this day into mine hand in the cave. And some bade me kill thee, but I had compassion on thee, and said, I will not lay mine hands on my master, for he is the Lord's anointed. And moreover, my father, behold, and see, yet the lap of thy garment in my hand, inasmuch as I killed thee not, when I cut off the lap of thy garment. Understand therefore, and see that there is neither evil nor wickedness in me, and that I have not sinned against thee, and yet thou huntest after my soul to take it. The Lord be judge between thee and me, and the Lord avenge me of thee, but mine hand be not upon thee. According as the old proverb saith, Wickedness proceedeth from the wicked, but mine hand be not upon thee. After whom is the king of Israel come out? After whom dost thou move persecution? After a dead dog, and after a flea. The Lord be judge, and judge between thee and me, and see, and plead my cause, and avenge me of thine hand. When David had made an end of speaking these words to Saul, Saul said, Is this thy voice, my son David? And Saul lifted up his voice and wept, and said to David, Thou art righteouser than I, for thou hast rewarded me with good, whereas I have rewarded thee with evil. And thou hast showed this day how that thou hast dealt lovingly with me, forasmuch as when the Lord had locked me in thine hands, thou killedst me not. For who shall find his enemy, and let him depart into a good way? Who is it who shall find his enemy, and let him depart? Wherefore the Lord reward thee with good, for that thou hast done unto me, for that which thou hast done unto me this day. For that thou hast done unto me this day. And now, behold, I wot well that thou shalt be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in thine hand. Swear now therefore unto me by the Lord, that thou shalt not destroy my seed after me, and that thou shalt not put my name out of my father's house. And David sware unto Saul, and Saul went home. But David and his men gat them up unto an hold. 25. Samuel dieth. David fleeth into the wilderness of Paran. And Samuel died, and all the Israelites gathered together and lamented him, and buried him in his own house at Ramah. And David arose and gat him into the wilderness of Paran, and there was a man in Maon, whose possession was in Carmel. And the man was exceeding mighty, and had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. And he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. The name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife was Abigail. And she was a woman of a good will, and beautiful. But the man was churlish and of shrewd conditions. Of heart, of mind, and was of the kindred of Caleb. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and said unto them, Get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say, Peace be to thee, peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast. Behold, I have heard say that thou hast shearers. Now thy shepherds were with us in the wilderness, and we did them no spite, neither was there aught of the flock missing unto them all the while they were in Carmel. Ask thy lads, and they will show thee. Wherefore, let these young men find favor in thine eyes, for we come in a good season, and give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto thy servants and to thy son David. And when David's young men came, they told Nabal all those words in the name of David, and then held their peace. And Nabal answered David's servants, and said, What is David, and what is the son of Jesse? There is plenty of servants nowadays that break away every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread, my water, and my flesh, that I have killed for my shearers, and give it unto men whom I wot not whence they be? And so David's servants turned their way, and went again, and came, and told him all those sayings. And David said unto his men, Gird every man his sword about him. And they girded every man his sword about him, and David was girded with his sword. And there followed David upon of 400 men, about 400, and 200 abode by the stuff. But one of the lads told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers unto our master out of the wilderness to salute him, and he railed on them. And yet the men are very good unto us, and did us no displeasure. Neither missed we anything as long as we were conversant with them when we were in the fields. They were a wall of defense unto us, both by night and day, all the while we were with them keeping sheep. Now therefore take heed, and see what thou hast to do, for there is an occasion of evil given against our master and all his household, seeing he is ungracious to speak to. Then Abigail made haste, and took 200 loaves, and 2 bottles of wine, and 5 sheep ready dressed, and 5 measures of parched corn, and 100 frails, packets of raisins, and 200 top nets, some kind of measure of figs, and laid them on asses, and said unto her young men, Go ye before me. Behold, I come after you. But she told her husband Nabal nothing thereof. Raisins. Looks like Riesings. And I think in the King James, this top nets is just written measures of figs, I think. And as she rode on her ass, she came privily down the side of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, or across from her, and she met them. And David said, In vain have I kept all that this fellow hath in the wilderness, such that naught was missed of all that pertained unto him. And he hath, requited me evil for good. So and so do God unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertain to him, by the dawning of the day, anything that pisseth against the wall. That's David's saying. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off her ass, and fell before David on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and fell at his feet, and said, Let this unhappy deed be counted mine, my lord, and let thine handmaid speak in thine audience, and hear the words of thy handmaid. Let not my lord the king regard this unthrifty man Nabal. In the King James, this seems to be man of Belial. In this book, they call them unthrifts. For as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my lord whom thou sendest. Now therefore, my lord, as sure as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and withdraw thou thine hand. Now I pray God that thine enemies and they that intend to do my lord evil may be as Nabal. And now this is the blessing which thine handmaid hath brought unto my lord, and let it be given unto the young men that follow my lord. Forgive the trespass of thine handmaid, for the Lord will make my lord a sure house. A sure house. Because my lord fighteth the battles of the Lord, and there could none evil be found in thee in all thy days. And if any man rise to persecute thee, and to seek thy soul, the soul of my lord shall be bound as in the bundle of the living with the Lord thy God. Bound as in the bundle of the living with the Lord my God. And the souls of thy enemies shall God cast out, even as out of the middle of a sling. And when the Lord shall have done to my lord all the good that he hath promised thee, and shall have made thee ruler over Israel, then shall it be no decay unto thee, neither discouragement of heart unto my lord, that thou hast not shed blood causeless, neither avenged thy life or thyself. Then shall it be no decay unto thee, neither discouragement of heart unto my lord, that thou hast not shed blood causeless, neither avenged thyself. And when the Lord shall have dealt well with my lord, then think on thine handmaid. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. Blessed is thy saying, and blessed art thou, which hast kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with mine own hand. For in very deed, as sure as the Lord God of Israel liveth, which hath kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hadst hasted and met me, thinkest thou there had been left unto Nabal by the dawning of the day a pisser against the wall? Anything left alive. That's David's phrasing. And so David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said to her, Go up in peace to thine house. Behold, I have obeyed thy voice, and have accepted thy person. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, neither little nor more, until the morrow day. But in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, his wife told him these words, and his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And upon it, or about 10 days after, the Lord smote Nabal that he died. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord that hath judged the cause of my rebuke of the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil, and hath recompensed the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And David sent to commune with Abigail, to the intent to take her to his wife. The intent. Merged together into a word, vintent. To the intent to take her to his wife. And when the servants of David were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, David sent us unto thee to take thee to his wife. And she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth, and said, Behold, let thine handmaid be a servant, to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. Also this word commune, spelled C-O-M-E-N, where the N is abbreviated. Commune. That's pretty common. Okay. And Abigail hasted and arose and gat her up upon an ass with 5 damsels of hers that went at her feet, and she went after the messengers of David and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were both his wives. But Saul gave Michal his daughter, David's wife, to Phalti, the son of Laish, which was of Galim. 26. Saul sleepeth in his tent, and David taketh away his spear and a cruse of water that stood at his head. The Ziphites came unto Saul to Gibeah, saying, Doth not David hide himself in the hill of Hachilah, which is before Jeshimon? Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him, for to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul pitched in the hill of Hachilah, which lieth before Jeshimon by the wayside, but David dwelt in the wilderness. And he saw that Saul came after him into the wilderness. David therefore sent out spies, and understood that Saul was come in very deed. And David arose and came to the place where Saul had pitched. And David beheld the place where Saul lay, and Abner the son of Ner, which was his chief captain. Saul lay within, and the people and the host round about him. Then answered David and spake to Ahimelech the Hittite, and to Abishai the son of Zeruiah, and brother to Joab. And Zeruiah is David's sister. Son of Zeruiah and brother to Joab, saying, who will go down with me to Saul to the house? And Abishai said, I will go down with thee. And so David and Abishai came down to the people by night, and behold, Saul lay sleeping within the host, and his spear stuck in the ground at his head. But Abner and the people lay round about him. Then said Abishai to David, God hath delivered thine enemy into thine hand this day. Now therefore let me smite him once with my spear to the earth, and I will not smite him the second time. And David said to Abishai, Destroy him not, for who can lay his hand on the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? David said furthermore, As sure as the Lord liveth, the Lord shall smite him. The Lord shall smite him, or his day shall come to die, or he shall descend into battle, and there perish. The Lord keep me from laying mine hand upon the Lord's anointed. But take thou now the spear that is at his head, and the cruse of water, and let us go. And so David took the spear and the cruse of water from Saul's head, and they gat them away, and no man saw it or awaked. For they were all asleep, because the Lord had sent a slumber upon them. Then David went over to the other side, and stood on the top of a hill afar off, a great space being between them. And David cried to the people and to Abner the son of Ner, saying, Hearest thou not, Abner? Abner answered and said, What art thou that criest to the king? And David said to Abner, Art not thou a man, and who is like thee in Israel? Wherefore then hast thou not kept thy lord the king? For there came one of the folk in to destroy the king thy lord. It is not good that thou hast done. As truly as the Lord liveth, you are worthy to die, because you have not kept your master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the cruse of water that was at his head. And Saul knew David's voice, and said, Is this thy voice, my son David? And David said, It is my voice, my lord, O king. And he said, Wherefore doth my lord thus persecute his servant? For what have I done, or what evil is in mine hand? Now therefore let my lord the king hear the words of his servant. If the Lord have stirred thee up against me, let him smell the savour of a sacrifice. But and if they be the children of men, if the Lord have stirred thee up, but if they be the children of men that have stirred thee up, cursed are they before the Lord, for they have cast me out this day from abiding in the inheritance of the Lord, saying, Hence, and go serve other gods. Now therefore let not my blood fall to the earth before the face of the Lord, for the king of Israel is come out to hunt a flea. Oh hey, Ice Creek, how are you doing? I think I've lost count how many times I've read it. Not that many times. Come out, hunteth as a flea, as one doth hunt a partridge in the mountains. Then said Saul, I have sinned. Come again, my son David, for I will do thee no more harm, because my soul was precious in thine eyes this day. Behold, I have played the fool, and have erred exceedingly. And David answered and said, Behold, the king's spear, let one of the young men come over and fetch it. The Lord reward every man according to his righteousness and faith, for the Lord delivered thee into mine hand this day. But I would not lay mine hand upon the Lord's anointed. And behold, like as thy life was much set by in value this day in mine eyes, so be my life set by in the eyes of the Lord, that he deliver me out of all tribulation. Then Saul said to David, Blessed art thou, my son David, for thou shalt be a doer and prevail. A doer. I don't know what that corresponds to. And so David went his way, and Saul turned to his place again. Oh well. I'm looking for, see, this is chapter 26. Wow, I don't know. I'm going to write that down. A doer. Yeah, I don't think I ever read through the Bible entirely until about 7 years ago. Maybe 8 years ago. And not really all at once either. That was when I was able to say that I've read all the words, but not all in order necessarily. A tier list? I don't know. That'd be hard and different. A little bit hard to compare them here and there. Ooh. I will be honest with you. I'm listening in on another stream. There's a subathon going on. Okay, I'm just gonna let him do it. Okay, 27. David fleeth to Achish, king of Gath. This is the same Achish, isn't it? I have to find out. There's still stuff that I don't remember. Yeah, King Achish. Any other translations? I do have a couple copies of a Chinese King James Bible that within the last decade was retranslated into Chinese, literally using the King James as the base. That's probably not what you meant. You probably meant other English translations. But I'm learning Chinese a little bit here and there. And if I were able to pronounce all the words of that would be that I would feel accomplished. Oh, I'm a little bit out of practice, but it's an interest of mine. Chinese, Japanese. And David said in his heart, I shall perish one day or other by the hand of Israel. By the hand of Israel. Is that how it is? Yeah, okay, and King James, this is by the hand of Saul. Well, okay. Therefore is there nothing better for me than to flee and save myself in the hand of the Philistines, in the land of the Philistines, and Saul shall cease and seek me no more in all the coasts of Israel, and so shall I escape out of his hand. And David arose, he and the 600 men that were with him, and went unto Achish, the son of Maok, king of Gath. And David dwelt with Achish at Gath, both he and his men, every man with his household, and David with his 2 wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife of Carmel. And it was told Saul that David was fled to Gath, and he sought no more for him. And David said unto Achish, If I have now found grace in thine eyes, Ni hao. Yeah, okay. If I have now found grace in thine eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the fields, that I may dwell there. For why should thy servant dwell in the head city of the kingdom with thee? Then Achish gave him Ziklag the same day, for which cause Ziklag pertaineth unto the kings of Judah unto this day. And the time that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines was 4 months and certain days, and David and his men went up and ran upon the Geshurites, the Gershites, and the Amalekites, for those nations were from the beginning the inhabitants of the land, as men go to Shur unto the land of Egypt. And David smote the land, and left neither man neither woman alive, and drove away the sheep, the oxen, the asses, camels, and clothes, and returned and came to Achish. And this phrase, drove away, means he took them away in droves from that place. And Achish said, "Where have you been a-roving this day?" And David answered, "Toward the south of Judah and toward the south of the Jezreelites." And fun fact, this been a-roving in the King James is, "Where have you made a road?" And that's the only place in the whole Bible where the word road appears. And in the 1611, it's road spelled R-O-D-E, which kind of indicates, past tense of ride. So the word road as a flat path doesn't exist in here. Toward the south of the Jezreelites and toward the south of the Kenites. And David saved neither man nor woman alive, neither suffered them to come to Gath, for fear, saith he, lest they should tell on us. Saying, so did David, and so will be his manner all the while he dwelleth in the country of the Philistines. And Achish believed David, saying, he abhorreth his people of Israel, and therefore he shall be my servant forever. They should tell on us. That doesn't sound like biblical language, but that's what it says in the King James too. Tell on us. 28. The Philistines move war against Saul, which seeketh after an enchanter. And it chanced in those days that the Philistines gathered the host together to war. To fight with Israel. And Achish said to David, be sure, thou shalt go out with me to the battle, thou and the men that are with thee. And David said to Achish, then thou shalt know what thy servant can do. And Achish said again to David, or in response, then I will make thee keeper of my head forever. Samuel was then dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah in his own city. And Saul had put the women that had spirits of prophecy, and the soothsayers out of the land, and the Philistines gathered together, and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and it pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart was sore astonied. And when Saul asked counsel of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor yet by prophets. How does it translate man? I don't follow. Like no man, they use, they don't use the phrase no one. They use no man. Even in, yeah, I think that even indicates, the male animals too. I think is what's implied by that. But that's David's phrasing that was preserved. And so it's God also uses that phrase later on in here, but you can tell that he's using it the way as a reference to what David originally said. So when you see that, it's a quote from David. Then said Saul unto his servant, seek me a woman that hath a spirit of prophecy, that I may go to her and ask of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a spirit of prophecy at Endor. And Saul changed himself, his clothes, and put on he disguised himself, and put on other raiment, and then went he and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, prophesy unto me by the Spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath destroyed the women that had prophesying spirits, and the sorcerers out of the land. Wherefore then seekest thou an occasion against my soul, that he may kill me? And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, as surely as the Lord liveth, there shall no harm chance thee for this thing. Then said the woman, whom shall I fetch up unto thee? He answered, Bring me up Samuel. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice, and spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid. What seest thou? The woman said unto Saul, I see gods ascending up out of the earth. He said unto her again, What fashion is he of? She answered, There cometh up an old man with a mantle upon him. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou unquieted me to make me be brought up? Saul answered, I am sore encumbered, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets, neither by dreams. And therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest tell me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, Wherefore dost thou ask of me, while the Lord is gone from thee, and is become thine enemy? Truly the Lord hath done for himself, even as he spake by my hand. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor David. Because thou obeyedst not the voice of the Lord, nor executedst his fierce wrath upon the Amalekites. Therefore hath the Lord done this unto thee this day. And moreover, the Lord will deliver Israel with thee into the hands of the Philistines. Tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me, and the Lord shall give the host of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. Then Saul fell straightway flat on the earth as long as he was, and was sore adread because of the words of Samuel. There was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day and the night before. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, See, thine handmaid hath obeyed thy voice, and have put my soul in my hand, and have hearkened unto thy words which thou saidst unto me. Now therefore hearken thou also unto the voice of thine handmaid, and let me fetch a morsel of bread before thee, that thou mayest eat, and get thee strength, and then go on thy journey. He refused, and said, I will not eat. But his servants and the woman together compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. And so he arose from the earth, and sat him on a bed. The woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hasted and killed it, and took flour and kneaded it, and did bake sweet cakes thereof, and brought them before Saul and before his servants. And when they had eaten, they stood up and went away the same night. 29. David goeth with King Achish to fight against Saul. The Philistines were gathered together with all their armies unto Aphek, and the Israelites pitched in Ain, which is in Jezreel. And the lords of the Philistines went forth with the hundreds and thousands, but David and his men came behind with Achish. Then said the lords of the Philistines, What are yonder Hebrews? Achish said unto the lords of the Philistines, Is not this David the servant of Saul, the king of Israel, which hath been with me these days or years? I have found no fault in him, since he fled unto me unto this day. And the lords of the Philistines were wroth with him, and said unto him, Make this fellow return, that he may go again to his place which thou hast appointed him, and let him not go down with us to battle, lest in the battle he be an adversary to us. For wherewith could he better obtain the favor of his master than with the heads of these men? Is not this David to whom they sang in dances? Saul slew 1,000, and David his 10,000. Then Achish called David, and said unto him, As sure as the Lord liveth, thou hast been honest and good in my sight, when thou wentest out and in with me in the host. Neither have I found evil with thee, since thou camest to me unto this day. Nevertheless, the lords of the Philistines favor thee not. Wherefore now return and go in peace, that thou displease not the lords of the Philistines. And David said unto Achish, And what have I done? What hast thou found in thy servant, as long as I have been with thee unto this day, that I may not go fight against the enemies of my lord the king? Achish answered and said to David, I know that thou art good, and art in my sight as an angel of God. Notwithstanding, the lords of the Philistines have said, Let him not go up with us to battle. Wherefore now rise up early in the morning with thy master's servants that are come to thee, and when ye be up early, as soon as ye have light, depart. And so David and his men rose up early to depart in the morning, and to return into the land of the Philistines. And the Philistines went up to Jezreel. 30. David, returning from King Achish, findeth Ziklag burnt. But when David and his men were come to Ziklag the third day, the Amalekites had rushed in upon the south and upon Ziklag, and had smitten Ziklag and burnt it with fire. But he wouldn't have found this out if he wasn't sent home right away. Isn't that something? And had taken the women that were therein, prisoners, both small and great, but slew not a man, save carried them with them, and went their ways. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burnt with fire, and their wives, their sons, and their daughters were carried away. Then David and the people that was with him lifted up their voices and wept until they could weep no more. And David's 2 wives were taken prisoners also, Ahinoam the Jezreelite, and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was in shrewd cumbrance. He was in shrewd cumbrance. It looks like shrewd, but it's shrewd. For the people intended to stone him, because the hearts of all the people were vexed for their sons and their daughters. But David took a good courage to him in the Lord his God, and said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me the ephod. And Abiathar brought the ephod to David, and David asked counsel at the Lord, saying, Shall I follow after this company, and shall I overtake them? And he answered him, Follow, for thou shalt overtake them, and recover the prey. So David and the 600 men that were with him went and came to the river Bezor, where a part of them abode, but David and 400 men followed. For 200 abode behind, being too weary to go over the river Bezor. And they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to David, and gave him bread to eat, and water to drink, and gave him a few figs, and 2 clusters of raisins. Raisins. Looks like Riesings. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drunk no water in 3 days and 3 nights. And David said unto him, To whom belongest thou, and whence art thou? He said, I am a young man of Egypt. I'm a young man of Egypt, and servant to an Amalekite, and my master left me behind, because it is 3 days agone that I fell sick. We came a roving upon the south of Kratos, and against Judah, and toward the south of Caleb, and we burnt Ziklag with fire. David said to him, Can thou bring me to this company? And he said, Swear unto me by God that thou wilt neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee to the company. And when he had brought him thither, behold, they lay scattered abroad upon the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because of the plenteous and great prey that they had carried away out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Judah. And David laid upon them from the even until the twilight on the morrow, such that there escaped not a man of them, save 400 young men which rode away upon camels and fled. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away. And David rescued his 2 wives, such that there was no person of them lacking, small or great, son or daughter, or of the spoil of all that they had taken away. David recovered them all again. And David took all the sheep and the oxen, and they drave them before his cattle, and said, This is David's prey. And David came to the 200 men that were too weary for to follow David, whom they had made also to abide at the river Bezor. And they came to meet David and the people that were with him. When David came to the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked and the unthrifts, men of Belial, of the men that went with David, and said, Because they went not with us, therefore will we give them none of the prey that we have recovered. But let every man take his wife and his children. Those let them carry away and be walking. Let them be walking. Then said David, You shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Lord hath given us, and hath preserved us, and delivered the company that came against us into our hands. With that which the Lord hath given us. For who should hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down and fighteth, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff, that it may be parted alike. And so from that day forward was that made a statute and law in Israel unto this day. And I think this was a thing even from Moses' day. I think this might be even something that Moses established, or Joshua. That the people who stayed behind to defend the city receive some of the spoils that they bring back. Well, there we go. Okay. Well, why don't I read the margin? Joshua 22. There you have it. A statute and law. When I guess it wasn't a statute and law before. When David therefore came to Ziklag, he sent gifts of the prey unto the elders of Judah and to his friends, saying, Here, there is a blessing for you of the spoil of the enemies of the Lord. He sent them to Bethel, to them of South Ramoth, to them of Jatir, to them of Aror, to them of Siphmoth, to them of Eshtemoa, to them of Rachel, to them of the cities of Jeremiel, to them of the cities of the Kenites, to them of Hormah, to them of Borasan or Khorasan, to them of Atak, to them that are in Hebron, and in all places where David and his men were wont to haunt. I don't know that I've checked out that book. So that seems interesting. 31. Saul killeth himself, and his children are slain in the battle. The Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled away from the Philistines, and fell down wounded in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines pressed sore upon Saul and his sons, and slew Jonathan, and Abinadab, and Malchishua, Saul's sons. And when the battle went sore against Saul, the archers with bows found him, and he was sore afraid of the archers. Then said, he was made afraid. Then said Saul unto his harness-bearer, Draw out thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through, and make a mocking stock of me. But his harness-bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. And Saul took a sword, and fell upon it. And when his harness-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword, and died with him. And so Saul died, and his 3 sons, and his harness-bearer, and all his men that same day together. And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they of the other side Jordan, heard that the men of Israel were put to flight, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they left the cities and ran away, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. On the morrow, when the Philistines were come to spoil them that were slain, they found Saul and his 3 sons lying in Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head, and stripped him out of his harness, and sent into the land of the Philistines on every side, that they should publish it in the temple of their idols and among the people. And they laid up his harness in the house of Ashtaroth, but they hanged up his body on the wall of Bethshan. When the inhabitants of Jabesh in Gilead heard thereof, what the Philistines had done to Saul, they arose, as many as were strong men, and went all night, and took the body of Saul, and the bodies of his sons, from the wall of Bethshan, and came to Jabesh, and burnt them there, and took their bones, and buried them under a tree at Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. I didn't think about how many times bodies are burnt in here, or cremated. Even the Lord's anointed is cremated. Never thought about it. The end of the first book of Samuel, also called the first book of Kings, which is why we have this additional heading. This is going to be 2 Samuel, also called the 2nd Kings. And then the actual books of Kings are called 3rd and 4th Kings. Okay, the 2nd book of Samuel, called the 2nd book of the Kings. 1. The lamentation of David for Saul and Jonathan. After the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and had been 2 days in Ziklag, behold, there came a man the 3rd day out of the host from Saul, with his clothes rent, and earth upon his head. And when he came to David, he fell to the earth, and did obeisance. David said unto him, Whence comest thou? He said unto him, Out of the host of Israel am I escaped. And David said unto him, And what is chanced? Tell me. He said, The people is fled from the battle, and many of the people are overthrown. There's a lot of pictures here. Many of the people are overthrown. You know, if you read about it, he didn't really willingly, it wasn't his idea to commission the King James Bible. It was the fact that there was a meeting convened, and it was between, the high church, who were, still kind of vaguely Catholic, and then the Puritans, the real hardcore Protestants, and they really wanted a new translation. And King James was actually not in favor of it, but they kind of sprang it on him when they invited him in front of all these, in front of this whole convention, and he was like, "Sure, go ahead and do it." So all he did was give them the go ahead, and it wasn't until long after he was dead that it was ever called the King James either. By the way, the King James Bible. But yeah, he didn't authorize it. He gave them license. Or, well, what is that? What's the word I'm thinking of? Yeah, okay, well, yeah, well, okay, he authorized it. It was just called the Authorized Version, the Authorized English Bible. Just the same as the Bishop's Bible before it. It just kind of given it the nicknames to differentiate the major revisions. Good question. It was more so during that time. It was the Bishop's Bible. The bishops of the church, who were very sympathetic to church church embellishment, rituals, and all that. They had taken it and kind of skewed the reading, if that's the proper way to say it, toward being sympathetic toward the high church. And so I don't know. I don't really know all the details about that, but the Bishop's Bible. Okay, so after this book, the Great Bible, came the Geneva Bible, which was created in Europe, which is hardcore, against the Catholic Church and against really any kind of high established church, organized religion. And just calling out, royalty as being tyrannical and on all that. And so, in response to that, the Anglican Church put out the Bishop's Bible to kind of push back against that, because the Geneva Bible was extremely popular. It was more popular than this book. And then the Bishop's Bible was in response to the Geneva Bible, but it still didn't gain traction against the Geneva Bible. So the King James was kind of this successful kind of response to the Geneva Bible. And it actually caught on, and people actually liked it as an Anglican Church version. The Geneva Bible was the first one to have the verse numberings. Let's see. Okay. And so and Jonathan his son are dead also. And David said unto the young men that told him these things, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? The young man that told him answered, I came by chance to Mount Gilboa, and behold, Saul leaned upon his spear. For the chariots and companies of horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked back, and he saw me and called me, and I answered, Here am I. And he said unto me, What art thou? I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again, Stand upon me and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, though my life be yet all in me. And so I stood upon him and slew him, for I was sure that he could not live after that he had fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head, and the bracelet that was on his arm, and I have brought them hither unto my lord. Then David took a hold on his clothes and rent them, and so did all the men that were with him, and they mourned and wept and fasted until even for Saul and Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they were overthrown with the sword. So the commission that King James, allowed, what happened was, so the King James, unlike the previous Bishop's Bible and prior, because the Amalekite took credit for killing Saul. Did I read that part yet? I didn't even get there yet. You're skipping ahead. So, the King James is absolutely a work of linguist scholars. They gathered together the best linguists from the Puritan side and from the High Church side. And they had to go verse by verse, word by word, and agree on what the most unbiased reading, what the most unbiased English rendering of the Greek and Hebrew would be. So that's what they accomplished. They had to, these adversaries, these opposing factions had to get together and just hash it out. And it took 7 years to do it. David said unto the young man that brought him these tidings, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of an alien, an Amalekite. And David said unto him, How is it that thou wast not afraid to lay thine hand on the Lord's anointed to destroy him? David called one of his young men and said, Go to, and run upon him. And he smote him that he died. Then said David unto him, Thy blood be upon thine own head. For thine own mouth hath testified against thee, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed. And David mourned with this lamentation over Saul, and over Jonathan his son, and bade teach the children of Israel the use of the bow. And behold, it is written in the book of the righteous. And he said, Consider, O Israel, these that be dead and wounded upon thy hills, upon thy high hills, O noble Israel, the wounded are slain upon thy hills. O how are the mighty overthrown? How are the mighty fallen? Tell it not in Gath, nor publish it in the streets of Ashkelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, and lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. Ye mountains of Gilboa, upon you be neither dew nor rain, not upon these fields of offerings. For there the shield of the mighty is cast down, the shield of Saul, as though he had not been anointed with oil. The bow of Jonathan and the sword of Saul turned never back again empty from the blood of the slain and from the fat of the mighty warriors. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their deaths they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, and stronger than lions. Ye daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, which clothed you in purple with pleasures, and hanged ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How were the mighty slain in battle? Jonathan is dead on the high hills. Woe is me for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very kind hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful. passing or surpassing the love of women. As a mother loveth her only child, even so did I love thee. Oh, how are the mighty overthrown, and the weapons of war destroyed. 2. David is anointed in Hebron. The battle of the servants of David and Ishbosheth. Yeah, so in fact, it's even accurate to say that the King James Bible is not a Protestant version. But it's certainly not a it's certainly not a non-Protestant version either, though. When you hear the term non-Protestant, you think, oh, then it must be leaning Catholic or Orthodox. No, not the case either. So it's more accurate to just call it Protestant, as opposed to the alternative. Post-Reformation. 2. After this it fortuned that David asked counsel at the Lord, saying, Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, Go. And David said again, Whither shall I go? He answered, Unto Hebron. And so David went thither with his 2 wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelite, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. And the men that were with him did David carry up also, every man with his household. And they dwelt in the towns of Hebron, and the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying, It is the men of Jabesh in Gilead that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh in Gilead, and said unto them, Blessed are ye unto the Lord, that ye have showed such kindness unto your lord Saul, and have buried him. And now the Lord show mercy and truth unto you. And I will do you also such kindness as ye have done in this thing. Therefore now let your hands be strong, and play ye the men, for your master Saul is dead, and they that are of the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. But Abner the son of Ner, that was captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and brought him to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, Ephraim, Benjamin, and over all Israel. And Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David, and the time which David reigned in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. And Abner the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth the son of Saul, went out of Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out, and met them by the pool of Gibeon. Oh, this is Helkath Hazarim. Met them by the pool of Gibeon, and they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side. And Abner said to Joab, Let the young men arise, and play before us. And Joab said, Let them arise. Then there arose and went over 12 of Benjamin by number, which pertained to Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. And every one caught his fellow that came against him by the head, and thrust his sword in his side, and so they fell down together. Wherefore the place was called the Field of the Mighty, Helkath Hazarim. And it is in Gibeon. And there began an exceeding cruel battle that same day, for Abner and the men of Israel fell before the servants of David. Yeah, some of the first to some extent, in these early English Bibles, even this one, they translated from Hebrew and Greek, but they did also refer to the Latin Vulgate for guidance about how to possibly translate it. So the Vulgate was somewhat relied on for the first few decades of translating. And yeah, the Vulgate it's not a bad translation, but it has issues. has issues. And to some extent, I do believe in the idea that if we were to take the Latin at face value, just like English, if we were to take even the Latin and English at face value and you look at it and go, oh, well, this doesn't quite match up with the Hebrew and Greek, well, I think that should be an indication of how to read, how to interpret the Latin or the English. And I don't mean to say that that's the primary thing that one should do, but it should be, you can refer to the Hebrew and Greek for guidance as to how the English word was understood and being defined to translate or render that word. Because at this time, they did take some liberty to kind of shape English to conform to the Greek and Hebrew, the English language itself. And I think Jerome might have done that with Latin, but I don't know. So I do take horn to mean power, even in the sense of, it's like the blowing of a horn. It's not just a symbol, but an actual physical power to kind of muster people together, right? So that's a little different from having horns on your head. But it was an animal horn that was used as a trumpet, as far as I understand. So it is kind of the same thing in the end. So when they talk about, they talk, in Revelation, for example, they talk about the beast with the horns. I think horn literally indicates, having 10 powers. Or in just the same way that the head on a beast or a person or a nation, it all means, the ruler of it. His face was horned. Yeah, that's, I don't know. They would also pour oil out of a horn, right? So it would be like his face was shown as if it were, anointed with oil. But yeah, that might be a stretch. That's a little bit creative. There were 3 sons of Zeruiah there. Zeruiah was David's sister. David also had a sister named Abigail, beside his wife Abigail. 3 sons of Zeruiah. Oh. Never heard that. Because a beam of light resembles a horn. Like the point of light, point of a horn. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I follow that. But it seems to me whenever you see horn in here, you can read it as power or a power. Did Moses' face shine with power? Maybe. Like very kind of sharp, vibrant, shining. I don't know. So, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. And this is the Asahel. No, it was Abishai. Never mind. I don't think Asahel has been mentioned yet. Asahel was as light of foot as a wild roe, and Asahel followed after Abner, and turned neither to the right hand nor to the left from Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, Art thou Asahel? He answered, Yea, that I am. Abner said, Turn thee either to the right hand or to the left, and catch one of the young men, and take thee his weapons. But Asahel would not depart from him. And Abner said again to Asahel, Depart from me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground, and not be able to hold up my face to Joab thy brother? Howbeit, when he would in no wise depart, Abner with his hinder end of the spear smote him under the short ribs, that the spear came out behind him, and that he fell down in the same place, and died there. And as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. Joab also and Abishai followed Abner, and the sun went down when they were come to the hill Ammah, that lieth before Giah, by the way that goeth through the wilderness of Gibeon. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together on an heap to Abner, and stood on the top of an hill. Then Abner called to Joab and said, Shall the sword devour still forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How long shall it be ere thou bid the people return from following their brethren? And Joab said, As truly as God liveth, if thou hadst not spoken in the morning, the people had been departed, every one from persecuting his brother. And so Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they any more. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain, and went over Jordan, and passed through all Beth-horon, till they came to Mahanaim. Okay, etymology. Okay, so it was something mistaken. But I don't know, sometimes that's interesting. Sometimes that's the problem with one person doing the translating. They kind of wanted to point out the Jerome probably recognized the relation between shining and horn, and he wanted to draw attention to it. It might not have been a mistake, but I mean, it was a mistake to try to emphasize that connection. Maybe, he didn't really realize that. Sometimes you want to use your translation as a means of kind of educating people about something that you know, but sometimes it just becomes something too difficult or cryptic, and doesn't do what you hoped. But it's so interesting that Jerome's translation was used for so long. Maybe it was revised here and there by other people. I don't know too much about the Vulgate. And Joab returned from persecuting Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men and Asahel. But the servants of David had slain of Benjamin and of Abner's men 360 men. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the sepulchre of his father in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night until the dawning of the day, and came to Hebron. 3. Abner cometh to David, and bringeth him his wife Michal. Joab killeth Abner. There was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And unto David were 6 children born in Hebron. His eldest son also was Amnon, of Ahinoam the Jezreelite, the second Chileab, of Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite, the third Absalom the son of Maacah the daughter of Talmai the king of Geshur, the fourth Adonijah the son of Haggith, the sixth and the fifth Shephatiah the son of Abital, the sixth Ithraim by Eglah, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. Interesting. I think it's very odd that Abigail is always referred to as the wife of Nabal. I don't think that's how it is in the King James. And Saul had a concubine named Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, Wherefore hast thou gone in to my father's concubine? Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I not a dog's head, which against Judah do show mercy this day unto the house of Saul thy father, and to his brethren and friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David? And thou findest a fault in me this day for this woman? So and so do God to Abner, for as the Lord hath sworn to David, so will I be on his side, to bring the kingdom from the house of Saul, that the throne of David may be established over Israel and over Judah, even from Dan to Beersheba. And he could give Abner never a word to answer, because he feared him. So and so do God to Abner. God do so and more to Abner, if this not come to pass. Abner sent messengers to David secretly, saying, Whose is the land? Make a bond with me, and behold, my hand is with thee, to bring all Israel unto thee. He said, It is good that I make a bond with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that thou see not my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see me. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, Deliver me my wife Michal, which I married with 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband Paltiel, the son of Laish. And her husband went with her, and came weeping behind her, till they came to Beth-urim. Then said Abner unto him, Go and return. And he returned. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, Ye sought for David in times past, that he might be your king. Now then do it, for the Lord hath said of David, By the hand of my servant David I will save my people Israel out of the hands of the Philistines, and out of the hand of all their enemies. And Abner spake in the ears of Benjamin, and went to tell in the ears of David in Hebron all that Israel was content with, and the whole house of Benjamin. And so Abner came to David to Hebron, having 20 men with him, and David made him, and the men that were with him, a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will up and go gather all Israel unto my lord the king, that they may make an appointment with thee, and that thou mayest command all as thine heart desireth. And when David had let Abner depart, he went in peace. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from chasing the robbers, and brought a great prey with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away to depart in peace. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come, men told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he hath sent him away, that he is gone in peace. Then Joab came to the king and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee, and why hast thou sent him away, that he should escape quit? Or escape quite? Escape quit. Thou knowest Abner the son of Ner, for he came to deceive thee, and to know thy outgoing and ingoing, and to know all that thou doest. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah, unknowing to David. And when Abner was come again to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him secretly, and smote him under the short ribs, that he died, for the blood of Asahel his brother. And when afterward it came to David's ear, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever, concerning the blood of Abner the son of Ner. Let the blood remain on the head of Joab and on all his father's house, that the house of Joab be never without one or other that hath running issues, or leper, and that leaneth on a staff, and that doth fall on the sword, and lacketh bread. And the cause why Joab and Abishai slew Abner was, Joab and Abishai, he's implicated too, was that Abner had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon in battle. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, Rend your clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn before Abner. Before Abner. It's an interesting use of before. I would say for Abner. And King David himself followed the corpse. And when they buried Abner in Hebron, before Abner, the procession, isn't it? Okay. The procession of Abner. King David himself followed the corpse. And when they buried Abner in Hebron, the king lifted up his voice and wept beside the sepulchre of Abner, and so did all the people. And the king lamented over Abner and said, Died Abner as a fool dieth? Thy hands were not bound, neither thy feet brought into chains, but as a man falleth before wicked children, so fellest thou. And all they that were of the people wept yet more over him. Yeah, I have it on YouTube. I think I have my YouTube linked in my description here on Twitch. When all the people came to eat meat with David while it was yet day, David sware, saying, So and so do God to me, if I taste bread, or aught else, till the sun be down. And the people wist it, and it pleased them. And whatsoever the king did, it pleased all the people. For all the people and all Israel understood that day how that it was not the king's deed that Abner the son of Ner was slain. And the king said unto his servants, Know ye not how that there is a Lord and a great man fallen this day in Israel? And I am this day tender and anointed king. And these men the sons of Zeruiah be too hard for me. The Lord reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. 4. Baanah and Rehab slay Ishbosheth the son of Saul. Then when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were afraid. And Saul's son had 2 men that were captains over the soldiers, the one called Baanah, and the other Rehab, the sons of Rimmon, a Beerothite, of the children of Benjamin, for Beeroth was reckoned to Benjamin. And these Beerothites fled to Gittaim, and sojourned there until the same time. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame on his feet, and he was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel. And his nurse took him up and fled away, and as she made haste to flee, the child fell and began to halt. And his name was Mephibosheth. And the sons of Rimmon and the Beerothite, Rehab and Baanah, went and came in the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosheth, which slept on a bed at noon. And the woman that was keeper of the door and cleansed the wheat was asleep. And they came into the midst of the house as though they would have fetched wheat. And Rehab and Baanah his brother smote him under the short ribs and fled. For when they came into the house, he slept on his bed in his resting chamber. And they smote him and slew him, and beheaded him, and took his head, and gat them away through the plain all the night. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold, there is the head of Ishbosheth, Saul's son, thine enemy, which sought after thy life. And the Lord hath avenged my lord the king this day of Saul and of his seed. David answered Rehab and Baanah his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, and said unto them, As surely as the Lord liveth, which hath delivered my soul out of all adversities, when one told me and said that Saul was dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I caught him and slew him in Ziklag, which thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings bringing. How much more, when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house and upon his bed? Shall I not require his blood of your hand, and take you from the earth? And David commanded his young men, and they slew him, and cut off their hands and feet, and hanged them up over the pool in Hebron. And they took the head of Ishbosheth, and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. The sepulchre of Abner. Okay. Is Abner related to Saul? I don't remember. 5. David is yet again anointed king, and taketh the ark from Zion, or Sion. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and said, Behold, we are of thy bone and of thy flesh, and in time past, when Saul was our king, thou leddest Israel in and out. And the Lord hath said to thee, Thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be a captain over Israel. And so all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron. And King David made a covenant with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah. The king also and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, Except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither. For they said, Thou art not able to come in hither. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion. The same is the city of David. David said the same day, Whosoever smiteth the Jebusites, and getteth up to the gutters of the houses, and smiteth the lame and the blind and getteth up to the gutters of the houses, and smiteth the lame and the blind that hate David's soul. That is what David's soul hates. Whosoever smiteth the lame and the blind, that hate David's soul. I'm not sure. I think I came across this before. Maybe I don't understand the phrasing. Wherefore they said, the blind and the lame shall not come into the house. And so David dwelt in the tower, and called it the city of David, and built round about it from Millo inward. And David prospered and grew, and the Lord God of hosts was with him. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons for walls. And they built David an house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted, or established his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. And David took more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he had come from Hebron, and more sons and daughters were yet born to David. And these be the names of the sons that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shammua, Shobab, Nathan, and Solomon. Ibhar. What's this? Ibhar also, and Elishua, Nepheg and Japhia, Elishama, Eliada, and Eliphalet. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, they came all up to seek David. And as soon as David heard of it, he gat him to an hold. And when the Philistines came, they laid them along in the valley of Rephaim. And David asked counsel of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into my hands? And the Lord answered unto David, Go up, for I will deliver the Philistines into thy hands. And David came to the plain of Perazim, and smote them there, and said, The Lord hath divided mine enemies asunder before me, as waters be divided asunder. And therefore the name of the place was called the plain of Perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men took them up. And the Philistines came yet again, and laid themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David asked at the Lord, Shall I go up against the Philistines, and wilt thou deliver them into mine hand? He answered, Thou shalt not go up, but compass them on the backside, and come upon them over against the pear trees. And when thou hearest the noise of a thing going in the top of the pear trees, then remove. For then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until thou come to Gazer. Pear trees, mulberry trees. 6. The ark is brought forth of the house of Abinadab. Uzzah is stricken and dieth. David danceth before it, and is therefore despised of his wife Michal. Again, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, even 30,000, and arose and went with all the folk that were with him of the men of Judah, to fetch away from thence the ark of God, whose name is called the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth upon it between the cherubims. Whose name is called the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth upon it. And they put the ark of God upon a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was at Gibeah. And Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drave the new cart. And when they brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was at Gibeah with the ark of God, Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord in sundry instruments made of cedar wood, with harps, psalteries, timbrels, fiddles, and cymbals. Fiddles. And when they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put his hand to the ark of God, and held it, for the oxen stumbled. And the Lord was wroth with Uzzah, and God smote him in the same place for his fault, and there he died before the ark of God. And David was displeased, because the Lord had smitten Uzzah, and the name of the place was called the rending of Uzzah, Perez Uzzah. Do I need to focus the camera? Rending of Uzzah until this day. And David was then afraid of the Lord, and said, How shall the ark of the Lord come to me? And so David would not bring the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David. But David carried it into the house of Obed-Edom, a Gittite. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months. And the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. And one told King David how that the Lord had blessed the house of Obed-Edom, and all that pertained unto him, because of the ark of God. Obed-Edom, that's also a place where the ark was at one time. But they were plagued and not blessed. Blessed the house and all that pertained unto him, because of the ark of God. And David went and brought the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom into the city of David with gladness. And there were with David 7 sorts of dancers, and calves for sacrifice. And when they that bare the ark of the Lord had gone 6 spaces, or paces? Spaces. I've seen that there, here and there too. He offered an ox and a fat sheep. And David played on harp strings, and danced before the Lord with all his might, and was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought the ark of the covenant of the Lord with shouting and trumpet blowing. And it fortuned that as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window, and saw King David spring and dance before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. And when they brought in the ark, I don't think speedrun.com would allow non-game things, as far as I can tell. As far as I can tell, they only have games on there. I might be wrong. If they have non-games on there, then Bible reading would actually go pretty well on there. But I'm not sure about that. Let me see. Brought the ark. They set it in his place, even in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And where is that? They mention later, like in a different book, where this is that this tabernacle is. I don't remember. Oh no. We'll find out pretty soon. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord, and as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts, and gave among all the folk, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to every one, a cake of bread, a piece of flesh, meat, and a flacket or flagon of drink. And so all the people departed, every one to his house. Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal the daughter of Saul came out to meet David, and said, Oh, how glorious was the king of Israel this day, which was uncovered today in the eyes of the maidens of his servants, as if it had been a light-brained fellow uncovered. Light-brained fellow. And David said unto Michal, I thought to dance before the Lord, which chose me rather than my father, and all his kin, and commanded me to be ruler over all the people of the Lord, even over Israel. And therefore will I play before the Lord, and will be yet more vile than so, and will be meek in mine own sight. And of the very same maidservants which thou hast spoken of shall I be had in honor. Therefore Michal the daughter of Saul had no child unto the day of her death. 7. David would build God an house, but is forbidden of God. It fortuned that as the king sat in his house, after that the Lord had given him rest round about. This is even the covenant. This is even the covenant of David here in chapter 7. He said unto Nathan the prophet, Behold, I dwell now in an house of cedar trees, but the ark of God dwelleth within the curtain. And Nathan said unto the king, Go and do all that is in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee. And it fortuned the same night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant David, Thus saith the Lord, Shalt thou build me an house to dwell in? For I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought the children of Israel out of Egypt unto this day, but have walked in a tent and tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I one word with any of the tribes of Israel, since I commanded the judges to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build ye not me an house of cedar trees? Now therefore, so say unto my servant David, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, as thou wast following sheep, that thou mightst be ruler over my people Israel. And I was with thee in all that thou wentest to, and have destroyed all thine enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the world. And therefore I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant it, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more, neither shall wicked people trouble them any more, as they did at the beginning, since the time that I set judges over my people Israel. And I will give thee rest from all thine enemies. And the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee an house. And when thy days be fulfilled, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy body, and will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the seed of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he sin, I will chasten him with such a rod as men be chastened with, and with such plagues as the children of men be plagued with. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put down before thee. And thine house and thy kingdom shall endure without end after thee, and thy seat shall be established forever. According to all these words, and according to all this vision, did Nathan speak unto David. I find this a little bit more clear than the King James, even. The way the King James reads in chapter 7, you have to be watching for that covenant in order to see it. And I think it has to do with the way will and shall are being used. I don't remember. Then, according to all these words and according to all this vision, did Nathan speak unto David. Then went David in and set him down before the Lord, and said, What am I, O Lord God, and what is my house, that thou shouldst have brought me this far forth? And this was yet a small thing in thy sight, O Lord God. But thou hast spoken also of thy servant's house for a great while to come. For this is the use of man, O Lord God, or the custom. And what can David say more unto thee? For thou, Lord God, knowest thy servant. Even for thy word's sake, and according to thine own heart, hast thou done all these great things to make them known unto thy servant. Wherefore thou art great, O Lord God, for there is none like thee, neither is there any God save thou, according to all that we have heard with our ears. And what one people in the earth is like thy people Israel, whose God went and delivered them, that they might be his people, and that he might make him a name, and to show great and terrible things in the earth, for thy people which thou redeemedst to thee out of Egypt, even the people with their gods. People with their goods? Or is this referring to Egypt's gods? Redeemed out of Egypt and with their gods, I think. For thou hast ordained thy people Israel to be thy people forever. And thou, Lord, art become their God. And now, Lord God, the word that thou hast spoken concerning thy servant and his house, make it good forever, and do as thou hast said, for so shall thy name be magnified forever. Of men. Magnified forever of men, or by men, that shall say, The Lord of hosts is the God of Israel, and the house of thy servant shall be established before thee. For thou, O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, hast told in the ear of thy servant, saying, I will build thee an house, and therefore hath thy servant found in his heart to pray this prayer unto thee. Therefore now, Lord God, thou art God, and thy words must be true. Thou hast told this goodness unto thy servant, or even enumerated, told this goodness unto thy servant. And now go to, and bless the house of thy servant, that it may continue forever before thee. For thou, Lord God, hast spoken it, and with thy blessing shall the house of thy servant be blessed forever. 8. David overcometh the Philistines. I think KJV is it's a sub 50 book. Yeah, especially if you were to read it without reading out loud, sub 50 easy. Reading out loud, sub 50 with practice. After this, let's look at the picture. After this it fortuned that David smote the Philistines and subdued them, and took the bridle of bondage out of the hand of the Philistines. The bridle of bondage. And he smote the Moabites, and measured them with a line, and cast them down to the ground. Even with 2 lines measured he them whom he slew, and the length of 1 line saved he alive. So, a string or a rope, a line. And so became the Moabites David's servants, and paid tribute. David smote also Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah, as he went to recover his border at the river Pharat. Oh, this is Euphrates. And even today, Euphrates is known as the Prat River in some parts of the world, the river Pharat. And David took 1,700 horsemen of his host and 20,000 footmen, and destroyed all his chariots, reserving only 100 of them. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to succor Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David slew of the Syrians 22,000 men, and put soldiers in Syria, Damascus. And the Syrians became servants to David, paying tribute. And thus the Lord saved David in all that he went unto. And David took the shields of gold that belonged to the servants of Hadadezer, and brought them to Jerusalem, and out of Betah and Berothai, cities of Hadadezer, did David bring exceeding much brass, whereof Solomon made all the brassen vessels in the temple, and the brassen lavatory, and the pillars, and the altar. When Toi, king of Hamath, or To, heard how David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer, he sent Joram his son unto King David to salute him with peace, and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer, and beaten him. For Toi had great war with Hadadezer, which Joram brought, which brought with him vessels of silver. Okay, this should be like a semicolon or something. Or the which Joram brought with him vessels of silver, vessels of gold, and vessels of brass, which brass King David did dedicate unto the Lord with the silver and gold that he had consecrated of all nations which he subdued, of Syria, of the Moabites, and of the children of Ammon, of the Philistines, and of Amalek, and of the spoil of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. And David gat him a name after that he had returned and smitten of the Syrians in the valley of Salt 18,000 men. And he put keepers in Edom, even throughout all Edom put he soldiers, and all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord kept David whatsoever he took in hand. And David reigned over all Israel, and executed right and justice unto all his people. And Joab the son of Zeruiah was over the host, and Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was recorder, and Zadok the son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech the son of Abiathar were the priests. Oh, Abiathar was in turn the son of an Ahimelech. This is the grandson, right? This was Abiathar the son of Ahimelech, I think. And Sarai was the scribe, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief rulers. Nine. I should see if I need to focus the camera better. Let me take just a moment to do that. Oh. Let me see here. That's probably better. Maybe not. Hold on. I gotta be careful. Gotta use the keyboard. $47. Okay. Maybe I didn't change anything after all. Okay. David restoreth all the fields of Saul to Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan. And David said, Is there yet any man left of the house of Saul? For I will show him mercy for Jonathan's sake. And there was of the household of Saul a servant whose name was Ziba. And when they had called him unto David, the king said unto him, Art thou Ziba? He said, Thy servant is he. And the king said, Remaineth there yet any man of the house of Saul, whom I may show the mercy of God upon? Ziba answered the king, Jonathan hath yet a son, which is lame on his feet. The king said unto him, Where is he? Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he is in the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel of Lodabar. Then King David sent and fetched him out of the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel, out of Lodabar. Now when Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, was come unto David, he fell on his face and did reverence. And the king said, Mephibosheth, he answered, Behold thy servant. David said unto him, Fear not, for I will surely show thee kindness for Jonathan thy father's sake, and will restore thee all the fields of Saul thy father. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. And thou shalt eat bread on mine own table continually. And he bowed himself and said, What is thy servant that thou shouldst vouchsafe to look upon such a dead dog as I am? Then the king called unto Ziba, Saul's young man, and said unto him, I have given unto thy master's son all that pertained to Saul, and to all his house. See therefore that thou and thy sons and thy servants till the land, and bring in, that thy master's son may have food to eat. But Mephibosheth thy master's son shall eat bread alway upon my table. For Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then said Ziba unto the king, According to all that my lord the king hath commanded his servant, so shall thy servant do. Well, said the king, Mephibosheth shall eat upon my table as one of the king's sons. Mephibosheth had a son that was young, named Micah, and all that dwelt in the house of Ziba were servants unto Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth dwelt in Jerusalem, for he did eat ever at the king's table, and was lame on both his feet. 10. Messengers. Let me see. Okay. Okay. The messengers of David are villainously entreated or treated by the kings of Moab. It happened after this that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead. Oh, look at that. The R rotunda beginning a word. That's rare. Reigned in his stead. Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me. And David sent to comfort or strengthen him by the hand of his servants over the death of his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon, and the lords of the children of Ammon said unto Hanun their lord, Thinkest thou that David doth honor thy father, that he hath sent comforters to thee? Hath not David rather sent his servants unto thee to search the city, and to spy it out, and to overthrow it? Wherefore Hanun took David's servants, and shaved off the one half of every man's beard, and cut off their garments in the middle, even hard to the buttocks of them, and sent them away. When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them, for they were men exceedingly ashamed. And the king said, Tarry at Jericho until your beards be grown, and then return. And when the children of Ammon saw that they stank in the sight of David, they sent and hired the Syrians of the house of Rehob and the Syrians of Zobah 20,000 footmen, and of King Maacah 1,000 men, and of Ishtob 12,000 men. And when David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the host of strong men. And the children of Ammon came out, and waged battle at the entering in of the gate, and the Syrians of Zobah and of Rehob. And the Syrians of Zobah, of Rehob, Ishtob, and Maacah were by themselves in the field. When Joab saw that the front of the battle was against him before and after, he chose all the fresh young men of Israel, and put them in array against the Syrians, and the rest of the people he delivered into the hand of Abishai his brother, that he might put them in array against the children of Ammon. And he said, If the Syrians be stronger than I, thou shalt help me, but if the children of Ammon be too strong for thee, I will come and succor thee. Therefore, quit thee like a man, and let us stand stiff for our people and for the cities of our God, and the Lord do that which is good in his own eyes. And Joab proceeded forth, and the people that was with him, to fight with the Syrians, but they fled before him. And when the children of Ammon saw that the Syrians were fled, then fled they also before Abishai, and entered into the city. And so Joab returned from the children of Ammon, and came to Jerusalem. And when the Syrians saw that they were put to the worse before Israel, they gathered them together, And Hadadezer sent and brought out the Syrians that were beyond the river. And they came with their army, and Shobah, the captain of the host of Hadadezer, went before them. And when it was showed David, he gathered all Israel together and passed over Jordan and came to Helam. And the Syrians set themselves in array against David and fought with him. And the Syrians fled before Israel. And David destroyed 700 chariots of the Syrians and 40,000 horsemen, and smote Shobah, the captain of their host, which also died there. And when all the kings that were servants to Hadadezer saw that they were put to the worse before Israel, they made peace with them and served them. And so the Syrians feared to help the children of Ammon any more. 11. The adultery of David with Beersheba, the wife of Uriah. Uriah is guilefully slain. And it came to pass that, after the year was expired, in the time when kings use or are accustomed to go forth to battle, David sent Joab and his servants with him, and all Israel, which destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. And David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it chanced in an evening that David arose out of his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's palace, and from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And he sent to inquire what woman it should be, saying, Is it not Beersheba, the daughter of Eliam, and wife to Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and fetched her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her, and immediately she was purified from her uncleanness, and returned unto her house. Immediately. And the woman conceived, and sent and told David, and said, I am with child. Is that proper, to be cleansed immediately, or purified immediately? Is that right? That might be wrong. That might be a wrong... I don't know. It might be improper, but I don't know. Told David and said, I am with child. And David sent to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people fared, and how the men of war prospered. And David said to Uriah, Go down to thine house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's palace, and there followed him a service from the king's table. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's palace with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. Which, when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down into his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not from the journey? Why didst thou not go down then unto thine house? Uriah answered David, The ark and Israel and Judah dwell in pavilions, or tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord lie upon the flat earth. And shall I then go into mine house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? By thy life and by the life of thy soul, I will not do this thing. And David said unto Uriah, Tarry here this day also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. And so Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his couch with the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. On the morrow David wrote a letter to Joab, and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote thus in the letter, saying, Put Uriah in the forefront of the sharper battle, and come ye back from him, that he may be smitten and die. So, when Joab besieged the city, he assigned Uriah unto a place where he wist that strong men were. That's interesting that Joab goes along with it. Quite a character. Also, maybe Uriah can't read the letter. Maybe he's not literate. I'm not sure about that either, though. And the men of the city came out and fought with Joab. And there were certain overthrown of the people and of the servants of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war, and charged the messenger, saying, When thou hast made an end of telling the matters of the war unto the king, if he begin to fume, and say unto thee, Wherefore approached ye so nigh unto the city when ye did fight? Wist ye not that they would hurl and shoot from the wall? Who smote Abimelech, son of Jerubbaal? Jerubbaal. Did not a woman cast a piece of a millstone upon him from off the wall, and he died in Tebez? Why went ye nigh the wall? Then say thou, Thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. The margin notes are pretty sparse. There's only one per page here, these past few. It refers right back to Jerubbaal here, Gideon. So the messenger went and came and showed David all that Joab had sent him for. And the messenger said unto David, the men prevailed against us and came out unto us into the field, and we with violence stuck unto them, even unto the entering of the gate. And the shooters shot from the walls upon thy servants, and some of the king's servants be dead. And thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. And David said unto the messenger, thus shalt thou say unto Joab, let not that thing trouble thee, for the chance of war is diverse, and the sword devoureth one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city to overthrow it, and see that thou encourage Joab. And when the wife of Uriah heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But this thing that David did displeased the Lord. So courage, the verb, meaning encourage. Courage Joab. 12. David is reproved for the slaughter of Uriah. The child conceived in adultery dieth. After it is Solomon born. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him, and told him, there were 2 men in one city, the one rich, and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many sheep and oxen, but the poor had nothing, save one little sheep, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up with him, and with his children also, and did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and slept in his bosom, and was unto him as his daughter. And there came a stranger unto the rich man, and he could not find in his heart to take of his own sheep and of his own oxen to dress for the stranger that was come unto him, but took the poor man's sheep, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. David was exceeding wroth with the man, and said to Nathan, as surely as the Lord liveth, the man that hath done this thing is the child of death. He shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing and had no pity. And Nathan saith to David, thou art the man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and rid thee out of the hand of Saul. I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah, and might, if that had been too little, have given thee so much more. Wherefore then hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord, to do wickedness in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. You have slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore, the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. Wherefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will stir up evil against thee, even out of thine own house, and will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of the sun. For thou didst it secretly. But I will do this thing before all Israel, and in the open sunlight. David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. Howbeit, because in doing this deed thou hast given the enemies of the Lord a cause to rail, the child that is born unto thee shall surely die. So even his enemies know about this. But his enemies might be in his own house. 2. Given the enemies of the Lord a cause to rail. And Nathan departed unto his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it sickened sore. David therefore besought God for the child, and fasted, and went in, and lay all night upon the earth. And the elders of his house arose and went to him to take him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat meat with them. And it happened the 7th day that the child died. And the servants of David durst not tell him that the child was dead, for they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? And David, seeing his servants whispering, perceived that the child was dead. And David said unto his servants, is the child dead? They said, yea. David arose from the earth, and washed, and anointed himself, and changed his apparel, and came into the house of the Lord, and worshipped, and afterward came to his own house, and bade that they should set bread before him, and he did eat. Then said his servants unto him, What thing is this that thou hast done? Thou didst fast and weep for the child while it was alive, and as soon as it was dead thou didst rise up and eat meat. He said, While the child was yet alive I fasted and wept. For this I thought, Who can tell whether God will have mercy on me, that the child may live? But now, seeing it is dead, wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him again any more? I shall go to him, rather than he shall come again to me. And David comforted Bathsheba his wife, and went in unto her and lay with her, and she bare a son, and called his name Solomon. And the Lord loved him, and he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and called his name Jedediah, of the Lord's behalf. Joab fought against Rabbah, the city of the children of Ammon, and took the city of the kingdom. And Joab sent messengers to David, saying, I have made assault to Rabbah, and have taken the city with waters, or the city of waters, or the city and the waters. Now therefore gather the rest of the people together, and besiege the city, that thou mayest take it, lest I take it and call it after my name. And David gathered all the people together and went against Rabbah and besieged it. So, Joab is kind of depicted as kind of ungodly, but he's very, I don't know. His humor is really something. You can tell he's very loyal to David. David gathered all the people together and went against Rabbah and besieged it, and gat it. And he took the king's crown from off his head, which weighed 100 weight of gold, a talent. That's pretty, maybe not a talent, 100 shekels. And in it were precious stones. Yeah, not 100-pound weight, 100 weight. And it was set on David's head. And he brought out the spoil of the city in exceeding great abundance, and he carried out the people that was therein, and put them upon saws, and upon iron harrows, and upon axes of iron, and thrust them into the tile kiln. Thus did he with all the cities of the children of Ammon. And so David and all the people returned unto Jerusalem. The tile kiln, or kill and kiln are the same word. The brick kiln. 13. Ammon, David's son, defileth his sister Tamar. Absalom therefore killeth Ammon. After this it chanced that Absalom the son of David had a fair sister named Tamar, whom Amnon the son of David loved, and he was so sore vexed that he fell sick for the love of his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and he thought it hard for him to have his purpose of her. Hard for him. But Amnon had a friend called Jonadab, the son of Shimea, David's brother, so his a cousin. And Jonadab was a very wise man, and he said unto him, How cometh it that thou, being the king's son, art thus consumed every day? Wilt thou not tell me? Amnon answered him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick. And when thy father is come to see thee, say unto him, O let my sister Tamar come and give me meat, and dress it in my sight, that I may see it and eat it of her hand. And so Amnon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto him, O let Tamar my sister come and make me a couple of fritters in my sight, that I may eat of her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amnon's house, and dress him meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house. And he was laid down, and she took flour, and made paste, and dressed fritters in his sight, and did bake them, and took a platter, and poured them out before him, but he would not eat. And Amnon said, Have out all the men from me. And they went all out from him. And Amnon said unto Tamar, Bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of thine hand, the food. And Tamar took the fritters which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had set them before him to eat, he took her and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for there hath no such thing been done in Israel. Do not thou this abomination. For whither shall I be able to go with my shame? And thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. O speak unto the king, and he shall not deny me unto thee. Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but took her and forced her, and lay with her. And then Amnon hated her exceedingly, such that the hate wherewith he hated her was greater than the love with which he before loved her. And Amnon said unto her, Up and get thee hence. She answered him, Thou hast no cause. This evil that thou puttest me away, is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. Nevertheless he would not hear her, but called his boy that served him, and said, Put away this woman from me, and bolt the door after her. And she had a kirtle, a skirt, kirtle, of divers colors upon her, for with such were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out and locked the door after her. What was kirtle? Oh. Okay. In King James, it's a garment. So we don't know what kind of garment. Kirtle of diverse colors. Okay. Then his servant brought her out and locked the door after her. And Tamar took and put ashes on her head, and rent her gay kirtle that was on her, and laid her hand on her head, and so went. And as she went, cried. And Absalom her brother said unto her, Hath Amnon thy brother been with thee? Now yet be still, my sister, he is thy brother. Let not this thing grieve thine heart. And so Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. But when King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. And very wroth, and he would not vex the spirit of Amnon. Oh, he was not willing to vex the spirit of Amnon his son, for he loved him, because he was his firstborn. And Absalom said unto his brother Amnon, Neither good, neither bad. Howbeit Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. And it happened, after 2 years, that Absalom had sheep shearers in the plain of Hazor beside the tribe of Ephraim, and bade all the king's sons, and came to the king, and said, Behold, thy servant hath sheep shearers. Let the king with his servants come to thy servant. The king answered Absalom, Nay, my son, we will not go all, neither be chargeable unto thee. And Absalom lay sore upon him, howbeit he would not go, but blessed him. Then said Absalom, If thou wilt not come, then let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king answered him, What needeth it that he go with thee? But Absalom made such insistence, that he let Amnon and all the king's children go with him. In such instance, I believe that's intended, but insistence works also. Now had Absalom commanded his young men, saying, Mark, when Amnon's heart is merry with wine, and when I bid you smite Amnon, then kill him, and fear not, have not I bidden you? Be bold, therefore, and play the men. And the young men of Absalom did unto Amnon, even as Absalom had commanded. And all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him up upon his mule, and fled. And it fortuned that while they were yet in the way, tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons, and there is none left alive. Then David arose, and tare his garments, and lay along on the earth, and all his servants stood up with their clothes rent. And Jonadab, that's the same guy, Jonadab the son of Shimei, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men, the king's sons, save Amnon only is dead. For that hath been determined in Absalom's mind, since he forced his sister Tamar. Now therefore let not my lord the king take the thing so grievously, to think that all the king's sons are dead, save Amnon only is dead. That guy was never a friend, obviously. Amnon had a friend called Jonadab. And Absalom fled. And the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by a way that was behind his back, and along by a hillside. And Jonadab said unto the king, Behold, the king's sons come. As thy servant said, so it is. And as soon as he had left speaking, behold, the king's sons came and lift up their voices and wept. And the king also and all his servants wept exceedingly. But Absalom escaped and went to Talmai, the son of Amihur, king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son every day. And which son? It might be for Absalom. And so Absalom escaped and went to Geshur and was there 3 years. Yeah, he mourned for Absalom. The king David desired to go forth unto Absalom, for whereas Amnon was dead, he, David, was comforted over him. He was comforted for that. 14. By the wisdom of the woman of Tekoa, Absalom is called. I'll be right back. Quick couple minute break. Okay. 14. So, okay. Joab, right? The son of Zeruiah perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. He sent to Tekoa, and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, Feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but be as a woman that had long time mourned for some dead body, somebody dead. And come to the king, and speak of this manner unto him. And so Joab taught her what she should say. And when the woman of Tekoa had fallen on her face to the ground and done obeisance, she said unto the king, Help me, O king. The king said unto her, What aileth thee? She answered, I am a widow, and mine husband is dead, and thy handmaid had 2 sons, and they 2 fought together in the field, where was no man to go between them, but the one smote the other and slew him. And behold, the whole kindred is risen against thy handmaid. And they said, Deliver us him that smote his brother, that we may kill him, for the soul of his brother whom he slew. We will destroy the heir also, and so they shall quench my sparkle that is left, that he shall stir up to my husband neither name, neither issue upon the earth, neither name nor issue. Sparkle. And the king said unto the woman, Go home to thine house, I will give a charge for thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, this trespass be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his seat be guiltless. And the king said, If any man say aught unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall hurt thee no more. Then said she, Let the king remember his Lord God, that the avenger of the blood gather not on heaps together to destroy. So avenger of blood, that's the group of people that seek after a murderer. That the avenger of blood gather not on heaps together to destroy, and that they slay not my son. And he answered, As sure as the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of thy son fall to the earth. The woman said, Not in it for the fame or the money. I don't know. I appreciate you though. And the woman said, Let thine handmaid speak one word more unto my lord the king. And he said, Say on. The woman said, Wherefore then hast thou determined such a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, that he should not fetch home again his banished. For we must needs die and perish as water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again, neither doth God spare any soul. Let the king therefore find the means, that his banished be not utterly expelled from him. Now therefore am I come to speak of this thing unto the king my lord. For they that be of thy people will fear me, or put me in fear. Okay, this is a case where fear means make fear. The people will put me in fear. Yeah, I find this a little bit tricky, that you have to tell what fear means by context. It's kind of a rare usage, but yeah, sometimes to fear someone means to put them in fear. I think sometimes we use that. Oh, I guess I'm thinking of like in an RPG, when you inflict a status effect on someone, you can say, confuse them, sleep them, fear them, when it means inflict fear. For they that be of the people will fear me, put me in fear. And our handmaid said, Now will I speak unto the king, peradventure the king will perform the request of his handmaid. And the king shall hear his handmaid, and deliver her out of the hand of the man that would have destroyed me, and also my son, out of the inheritance of God. And thine handmaid said, The word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable. Or, favorable. For my lord the king is as an angel of God, in hearing of good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, Hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, Let my lord the king now say on. And the king said, Is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this matter? The king answered and said, As sure as thy soul liveth, my lord king, there is else no man on the right hand nor on the left. But as my lord the king hath spoken, thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in the mouth of thine handmaid, for to the intent that I should alter my communication, or, disguise my communication, hath thy servant Joab done this thing. And my lord is wise, even as an angel of God, to understand all things that are in the earth. And the king said unto Joab, Behold, I am content to do this thing. Go and fetch home the child Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face, and bowed himself, and blessed the king. And Joab said, Now thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, O Lord, my lord, O king, in that the king hath fulfilled the request of his servant. And so Joab arose and went to Geshur, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, Let him turn or return to his own house, and not see my face. And so Absalom returned to his own house, and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was not so goodly a man as Absalom, for he was very beautiful, insomuch that from the sole of his foot to the top of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he shaved his head, for at every year's end he shaved it, because the hair was heavy on him, and must needs shave it, the hair of his head weighed 200 shekels. I like this spelling, it looks like cycles. 200 shekels after the king's weight. After the king's standard of weights. And this Absalom had 3 sons born him, and 1 daughter named Tamar, which was a fair woman to look upon, named after his sister, obviously. So Absalom dwelt 2 years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face. Tamar was Judah's wife. So that's the origin. That's the origin. Yeah. So Absalom dwelt 2 years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again, he would not come. Therefore he said unto his servants, Behold, Joab hath a parcel of land fast by my place, and he hath barley therein. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set it on fire. And Joab's servants came with their garments rent, and said, Absalom's servants have burnt the piece of land with fire. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom unto his house, and said unto him, Wherefore have thy servants burnt my field with fire? And Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I sent for thee, desiring thee to come, because I would have sent thee to the king, for to say, Wherefore am I come from Geshur? It had been better for me to have been there still. Now therefore would I see the king's face. And if there be any trespass in me, kill thou me. And so Joab came to the king, and told him, which when he had sent for Absalom, he came to the king, and fell to the ground on his face before him. And the king kissed Absalom. 15. After this it fortuned, Absalom maketh insurrection against his father. David is fain to flee for fear of him. After this it fortuned that, let me see. I have to check something. Okay, good. After this it fortuned that Absalom gat him chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And he rose up early in the mornings, and stood in the place of the entering in of the gate. And every man that had any matter, and came to the king for judgment, him did Absalom call unto him, and said, Of what city art thou? He answered, Thy servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matter is good and righteous, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. Absalom said moreover, O that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any plea and matter in the law might come to me, and that I might do him justice. And when any man came nigh to him, and did him obeisance, he put forth his hand, and took him to him, and kissed him, embraced him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. And he stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And after 40 years it fortuned that Absalom said unto the king, Let me go now to Hebron, and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord. For thy servant vowed a vow when I was in Geshur, in the land of Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again to Jerusalem, I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. And so he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the voice of the trumpet blow, ye shall say, Absalom reigneth king in Hebron. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called and they went with pure hearts, not knowing of anything. And Absalom sent also for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, that he should come out of his city Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And there was wrought strong treason, for the people went and increased with Absalom in multitude. And there came a messenger to David, and said, The hearts of the men of Israel are turned after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Up, that we may be gone, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he come suddenly and catch us, and bring some mischief upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servants said unto him, Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. And the king and all his household departed afoot, and he left behind him 10 concubines to keep the house. And so the king and all the people went out afoot, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants went about him, and all the Kerethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, mighty men of war, even 600 men which were come afoot from Gath, went before the king. Then said the king to Ittai the Gittite, Wherefore comest thou with us? Return and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger, and art removed from thine own place. Thou camest but yesterday, and should I unquiet thee today to go with us? I will go whither I can. Therefore return thou, and carry again thy brethren. Mercy and truth shall the Lord show unto thee. And Ittai answered the king, and said, As truly as the Lord liveth, in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will thy servant be. And David the king said to Ittai, Come then and go forward. And Ittai the Gittite went forth, and all his men, and all the children that were with him, and all the country wept with a loud voice, and so did all the people that went forth. And the king also himself passed over the brook Kidron. And all the people went toward the way that leadeth to the wilderness, and Zadok and all the Levites were with him, and bare the ark of the appointment, the covenant of God, and there they set down the ark of God. And, okay, over the brook Kidron. Oh. Does that mean they're bringing the tabernacle? Or is the tabernacle still in the old place? And there they set down the ark of God. And Abiathar went up until the people were come over out of the city. And the king said unto Zadok, Carry the ark of God again into the city. Oh, okay, it goes back. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again, and show me both it and the tabernacle thereof. But and if the Lord does say, I have no lust or desire unto thee, behold, here am I, let him do with me what seemeth good in his eyes. The king said also unto Zadok the priest, Art not thou a seer? Return into the city in peace, and take your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. your 2 sons. One of them is not your son, but is as your son, I'm sure. Behold, I will tarry in the fields of the wilderness until there comes some word from you to be told me. Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went up on Mount Olivet, and wept as he went, and had his head covered, and went barefoot. And all the people that was with him had every man his head covered, and as they went up they wept also. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is one of them that have conspired with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. When David was come to the top of the mount, he worshipped God, and behold, Hushai the Archite came against him with his coat torn, and having earth upon his head, unto whom David said, If thou go with me, thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city, and say unto Absalom, this is his friend, he'll be a burden to me. Say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king. As I have thus long been thy father's servant, so am I now thy servant. Thou mayest for my sake destroy the counsel of Ahithophel, or undermine it. And thou hast there with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priests, unto whom thou shalt show all that thou canst hear out of the king's house. And behold, they have there with them their 2 sons, Ahimaaz Zadok's son, and Jonathan Abiathar's son. By them also shall ye send me all that ye can hear. And so Hushai, David's friend, gat him to the city, and Absalom also entered into Jerusalem. How is this in the King James? You'll be a burden unto me if you go with me. Maybe. 16. Ziba bringing presents to David, doth falsely accuse Mephibosheth. Shimei curseth David, and hurleth stones at him. Absalom, by the counsel of Ahithophel, lieth with his father's concubines. Yeah, that's a spoiler that Ziba falsely accuses Mephibosheth. We don't find that out till later. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba the servant of Mephibosheth came to meet him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves and 100 bunches of raisins. Raisins. It's always spelled raisings. And 100 frails or packets of dried figs. I would say little frail bundles made of reeds, and a bottle of wine. And the king said unto Ziba, What meanest thou with these? And Ziba said, They be asses for the king's household to ride on, and bread and fruit for the young men to eat, and wine, that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. And the king said, Where is thy master's son? Ziba answered unto the king, Behold, he tarrieth still at Jerusalem. For he said, This day shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Then said the king to Ziba, Behold, thine are all that pertained unto Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I beseech thee that I may find grace in thy sight, my lord, O king. But he already had responsibility for all that stuff already. And when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the kindred of the house of Saul, named Shimei the son of Gera, and he came out cursing, and he cast stones at David, and at all the servants of King David. All the people also and all the men of war were on his right hand and on his left. And thus said Shimei when he cursed, Come forth, thou bloodshedder, and thou man of Belial. The Lord hath brought upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned, and the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art come to thy mischief, because thou art a bloodshedder. Then said Abishai the son of Zeruiah unto the king, Why doth this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go now and take off the head of him. And the king said, What have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? Let him curse, for the Lord hath bidden him curse David. Who dare then say, Wherefore hast thou done so? And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son which came of mine own body seeketh my life. How much more then may this son of Jemini, this Benjamite, do it? Suffer him to curse, for the Lord hath bidden him. Haply the Lord will look on my wretchedness, and do me good for his cursing this day. And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hillside over against him, or across from him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. This could be even ahead of him. And the king and all that were with him came weary, and refreshed themselves there. And Absalom and all the people of the men of Israel came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with him. And as soon as Hushai the Archite was come unto Absalom, he said unto him, God save the king, God save the king. And Absalom said again to Hushai, Is this the kindness thou owest to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with him? Hushai answered unto Absalom, Nay, not so, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I dwell. Moreover, unto whom shall I do service, but even to his son? And as I was servant before with thy father, even so shall I be with thee. Then spake Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel what is best for us to do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Get thee in unto thy father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art cast out of or by thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. And so they pitched Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and he went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as a man had asked counsel of God. Even so was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. 17. Ahithophel, seeing his counsel disallowed of Hushai and forsaken, hangeth himself. Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Let me choose out now 12,000 men, and I will up and follow after David by night, and I will come upon him while he is weary and weak-handed, and will fear him, put him in fear, and all the people that are with him shall flee. And so will I smite the king only, and will bring again all the people unto thee, even as easily as if I would bring any other thing. And when I have slain the man whom thou seekest, all the people shall have rest. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. Then said Absalom, Call also Hushai the Archite, and let us hear his counsel. When Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath given such counsel. Shall we do after his saying, or no? Tell thou. Hushai answered unto Absalom, The counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. For, said Hushai, Thou knowest thy father and his men, how that they be strong, and if they be chafed in their minds, they are even as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field. Thy father is a man also practiced in war, and maketh no tarrying with the people. Behold, he lurketh now in some cave or in some other place. And though some of his men be overthrown at the first brunt, yet they that hear it will say, The people that followeth Absalom be put to the worse. And the best men thou hast, whose hearts are as the hearts of lions, shall shrink thereat. For all Israel knoweth that thy father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are all men of war. Therefore my counsel is that all Israel be gathered unto thee from Dan to Beersheba, which are as the sand of the sea in number. And that thou go to battle in thine own person. For so shall we come upon him in one place or other where we shall find him, and we will fall upon him even as thick as the dew falleth on the ground. And of all the men that are with him, we shall not leave him one. Moreover, if he be gotten into a town, then shall all the men of Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river until there be not one stone found there. Just heaping up words here, blustering. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, The counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For it was even the Lord's determination to destroy the good counsel of Ahithophel, that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. Then said Hushai unto Zadok and Abiathar the priests, Of this and that manner did Ahithophel and the elders of Israel counsel Absalom, and thus have I counseled. Now therefore send quickly and show David, saying, Tarry not all night in the fields of the wilderness, but get thee over, lest the king be devoured and all the people that are with him. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz abode by the well Rogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them. And they went and showed King David. Nevertheless a lad saw them and told it to Absalom. And they went both of them away quickly, and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his yard, into the which they went down. And a woman took and spread a coverlet over the well's mouth, and strewed fermenty corn thereon. And the thing was not spied. And when Absalom's servants came to the wife to the house, they said, Where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? The woman answered them, They be gone over the little brook of water. And when they had sought them and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. And as soon as they were departed, the other came out of the well and went and told King David, and said unto him, Up and get you quickly over the water, for such counsel hath Ahithophel given against you. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they were come over Jordan by that it was day, before that it was day, such that there lacked not one of them that was not come over Jordan. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose and gat him home to his own house and to his own city, put his household in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. Then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host in the stead of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son named Ithra, and Israel, a Jezreelite, I think. That went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zeruiah, Joab's mother. Hold on a minute. Okay, Amasa was a man's son named Ithra that went in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. Okay, so this is a cousin. Amasa. There's Amashai, Asahel, Joab, and and this guy, Amasa. So Amasa replaces Joab in Absalom's army, and then Amasa again replaces Joab in David's army. When David was come to Mahanaim, so Israel and Absalom pitched in the tent in the land of Gilead. And when David was come to Mahanaim, Shobi, the son of Nahash, out of Rabbah, the city of the children of Ammon, and Machir, the son of Amiel, out of Lodabar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite, out of Rogelim, brought beds, basins, earthen vessels, wheat and barley, flour and parched corn, beans, rice, oatmeal, honey, butter, sheep, and cheese of kine, for David and all the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people was hungry, weary, and thirsty in the wilderness. Verse 18. Absalom is overcome in battle. He hangeth by the hair in an oak. He is killed and put in a ditch. David is so sorrowful for the death of Absalom that he weepeth. David numbered the people that were with him and set captains of thousands and of hundreds over them. And David sent forth one part of the people under the hand of Joab, and another part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will go with you also. And the people answered, Thou shalt not go forth, for if we flee, our adversaries will not care for us, neither shall they regard us, though half of us were slain. But thou art worth 10,000 of us, wherefore it is better that thou succour us out of the city. And the king said unto them, What seemeth you best, that will I do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Entreat the young man Absalom gently for my sake. And all the people heard that the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. And so the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the woods of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were put to the worst before the servants of David, and there was a great slaughter that day, even of 20,000 men. For the field was fought there in divers places, all abroad upon the earth, and the woods devoured more people that day than did the sword. Monumentous. And Absalom came before the servants of David, riding upon a mule, which carried him under the thick boughs of a great oak. And his head was caught of the oak, by the oak, and he was lifted up between heaven and earth. And the mule that was under him went his way. And one that saw it told Joab, saying, Behold, I saw Absalom hang in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, If thou didst see him, why didst not thou there smite him to the ground? And I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. Oh, girdle, like a ribbon, like a sash kind of thing. The man said unto Joab, Though thou wouldst lay 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not stretch out my hand against the king's son. For we heard with our ears when the king charged thee, and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Moreover, if I had done it, I should have done against mine own life. For there is no matter hid from the king. Yea, and thou thyself wouldst have been against me. Then said Joab, I may not stand thus tarrying with thee. And he took 3 spears in his hand, and thrust them through Absalom while he was yet alive on the body of the tree. And 10 servants that bare Joab's weapons turned and smote Absalom and slew him. 10. And when Joab blew the trumpet, the people returned from following Israel, for Joab spared the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the woods, and laid a mighty great heap of stones upon him. And all Israel fled to their tents. And this Absalom yet in his lifetime took and reared up a pillar which is in King's Dale, for he said, I have no son, and therefore to keep my name in remembrance do I it. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it is called unto this day Absalom's pillar. He has sons mentioned earlier, but at this point they might not be alive. Then said Ahimaaz the son of Zadok, Let me run now and bear the king tidings, how that the Lord hath judged him quit of the hand of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, Thou art no man to bear tidings today. Thou shalt bear tidings another time. But today thou shalt bear none, because the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to Cushai, Go and tell the king what thou hast seen. And Cushai bowed himself unto Joab and ran. Then said Ahimaaz the son of Zadok again to Joab, Come what will, or come what will. Let me also run after Cushai. And Joab said, Wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that for the tidings thou shalt have no reward? Seeing that for the tidings thou shalt have no reward. Well, said he, Come what will, let me run. He said unto him, Run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the plain way, and came before Cushai. And David sat between the 2 gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes, and saw, and behold, there came a man running along. And the watchman cried and told the king, and the king said, If he be alone, there is good tidings in his mouth. And he came and drew nigh. And the watchman saw another man running, and he called unto the porter, and said, Behold, there cometh another man running alone. And the king said, He is also a tidings bringer. And the watchman said, Methinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz the son of Zadok. The king said, He is a good man, and cometh with good tidings. And Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, Good tidings. And he fell down flat to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, Blessed be the Lord thy God, which hath shut up the men that lift up their hands against my lord the king. And the king said, Is the young man Absalom safe? Ahimaaz answered, When Joab sent Cushai the king's servant, and me thy servant, I saw much ado, but I wot not what it was. I thought Joab told you that the king's son was dead. Or this because the king's son is dead is the reason he said it, but he didn't say it out loud. Who knows? But I wot not what it was. And the king said unto him, Turn and stand here. And he turned and stood still. And behold, Cushai came also and said, Good tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord hath quit thee this day out of the hand of all them that rose against thee. And the king said unto Cushai, Is the young man Absalom safe? Cushai answered, The enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is. And the king was moved, and went up to a chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son, my son, my son Absalom, would God I had died for thee in your place. O Absalom, my son, my son. "19. David is restored to his kingdom and brought again to Jerusalem. And it was told Joab, Behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom. And the victory of that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king sorrowed for his son. And the people stole away that day from going into the city, as people confounded steal away when they flee in battle. But the king hid his face, and cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of all of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives and of thy concubines, and that thou lovest thine enemies, and hatest thy friends. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither thy lords nor servants. And this day I do perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, that had pleased thee well. Now therefore up and come out, and speak kindly unto thy servants, for I swear by the Lord, except thou come out, there will not tarry one man with thee this night. And that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that fell on thee from thy youth unto this hour. And then the king arose and sat down in the gate. And they told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, and Israel fled every man to his tent. And it fortuned that all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of our enemies. He delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines, and now he is fled out of the land for Absalom. But Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Therefore, why are ye so still that ye bring not the king again? And King David sent to Zadok and Abiathar the priests, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, and say, Why are ye behind to bring the king again to his house, seeing that such tidings is come from all Israel unto the king, even to his house? For the king had said, Thus shall ye say unto the people of Judah, Ye are my brethren, my bones and my flesh. Wherefore then are ye the last that bring the king home again? And say ye to Amasa, Art thou not of my bone and of my flesh? God do so and so to me, if thou be not captain of the host to me forever in the room of Joab, or in his office, his place. And he bowed the hearts of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, such that they sent this word to the king, Return thou with all thy servants. So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal, for to go down to meet the king and to convey him over Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Gera, the son of Benjamin, which was of Bahurim, hasted and came with the men of Judah to meet King David. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and 20 servants with him. And they went quickly over Jordan before the king. And there went over a boat that carried over the king's household, and they did him pleasure. And Shimei the son of Gera fell before the king as he was come over Jordan, and said unto him, Let not my lord impute wickedness unto me, neither remember the things that thy servant did wickedly. And Shimei was the first one there to greet him. My lord the king departed out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to heart. For thy servant doth know how that I have done amiss. And therefore, behold, I am the first this day of all the house of Joseph that am come to go down to meet my lord the king. Oh, not just Benjamin, but of Joseph. But Abishai the son of Zeruiah answered and said, Shall not Shimei die for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? And David said, What matter is between you and me, ye sons of Zeruiah? For this day ye be adversaries unto me. Shall there any man die this day in Israel? Do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? And therefore the king said unto Shimei, Thou shalt not die. And the king sware unto him. But I do believe Solomon makes an arrangement with him to put him into like under a house arrest kind of thing. And Mephibosheth the son of Saul came also to meet the king, and had neither washed his feet, neither shaven his beard, neither washed his clothes from the time the king departed, until he came again in peace. And it fortuned that when he was come to Jerusalem and met the king said unto him, Wherefore wentest not thou with me, Mephibosheth? He answered, My lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For thy servant said, I would have mine ass saddled to ride thereon, for to go to the king, because thy servant is lame. And Ziba hath falsely reported of thy servant unto my lord the king. And my lord the king is as an angel of God. Do therefore what seemeth good in thine eyes. For all my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king, and yet didst thou put thy servant among them that did eat at thine own table. What right therefore have I yet to cry any more unto the king? And the king said unto him, Why speakest thou yet in thine own cause? It is determined that I have said, Thou and Ziba divide the lands between you. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, Yea, let him take all, forsomuch as my lord the king is come again in peace unto his own house. But Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim and went over Jordan with the king to convey him over Jordan. Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old, and provided the king of sustenance while he lay at Mahanaim. For he was a man of very great substance. And the king said unto Barzillai, Come thou with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. And Barzillai said unto the king, I am thus old, and how am I able to go up with thee, up with the king unto Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Hath thy servant any taste in that he eateth or drinketh? I had to make a note for myself here. This should be he, not the. Any taste in that which he eateth or drinketh? Can he hear any more the voice of singing men and women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king? Thy servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king. And why will the king recompense me with such a reward? Oh, let thy servant turn back again, that I may die in mine own city, and be buried in the grave of my father and of my mother. Behold, here is thy servant Kimham. Let him go with my lord the king, and do to him which shall please thee. And the king answered, Kimham shall go with me, and I will do to him that thou shalt be content with. That which thou shalt be content with. And whatsoever thou shalt require of me, that same will I do for thee. And all the people went over Jordan. And when the king was come over Jordan, he kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he went back again unto his own place. And then the king went to Gilgal, and Kimham went with him, and so did all the people of Judah, and brought over the king, and there were but half the men of Israel. Behold, all the men of Israel came to the king, and said unto him, Why have our brethren the men of Judah stolen thee away, and have brought the king and his household, and all David's men with him over Jordan? And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, The king is near of kin to us, wherefore be ye angry for that matter? Think ye that we eat of the king's cost, or that we take us any gifts? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah, and said, We have 10 parts in the king, and have thereto more right to David than ye. Why then did you despise us, that our advice should not be first had in restoring our king again? And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. 20. Sheba, the son of Bochri, raiseth Israel against David. Bichri. Joab killeth Amasa treacherously. The head of Sheba is delivered to Joab. David's receivers. David's receivers are numbered. Is this like retainers? Receivers. When there came thither a certain man of Belial named Sheba, the son of Bichri, a man of Jimini, a Benjamite, he blew a trumpet and said, We have no part in David, neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Let the men of Israel depart unto their tents. And so every man of Israel went from David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah clave fast unto their king from Jordan to Jerusalem. And David came to his house to Jerusalem, and took the 10 women as concubines that he had left behind him to keep the house, and put them in ward, and fed them, but lay no more with them. And so they were enclosed unto the day of their death, living in widowhood. Then said the king to Amasa, Call me the men of Judah together against the 3rd day, and be thou here also. And so Amasa went to gather the men of Judah together, but tarried longer than the time which he had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, Now shall Sheba the son of Bichri do us more harm than did Absalom. Take thou therefore thy Lord's servants, and follow after him, lest he get him walled cities, and escape us. And there went out after him Joab's men, and the Kerethites, and the Pelethites, and all the mightiest men. And they departed out of Jerusalem to follow after Sheba the son of Bichri. And when they were at the great stone in Gibeon, the great stone. Is this the help stone? Ebenezer? Amasa went before them, and Joab's garment that he had about him was girded about him unto him, and he had girded thereon a knife which was joined fast to his loins, in such a sheath that as he went it fell sometimes out. And Joab said to Amasa, What's this great stone? I gotta find out. Joab said to Amasa, Art thou in health, my brother? Joab took Amasa by the chin with the right hand to kiss him. But Amasa took no heed to the knife that was in Joab's hand, for therewith he smote him in the short ribs, and shed out his bowels to the ground, and thrust at him no more, and he died. So Joab and Abishai his brother followed after Sheba the son of Bichri, and one of Joab's men. I didn't even realize. Amasa replaces Joab twice, and then Joab kills him. One of Joab's men stood by him and said, He that beareth any favor to Joab, or good will to David, let him go after Joab. And Amasa lay wallowed in blood in the midst of the way. And there was a man which, when he saw that all the people stood still, he rolled Amasa out of the way into the field, and cast a cloth upon him, because he saw that every one that came stood still by him. And as soon as he was tumbled out of the way, all the people went after Joab to follow after Sheba the son of Bichri. And he went through all the tribes of Israel unto Abel, and to Beth-maachah, and all the places of Barim. And they gathered together, and went after him. And they came and besieged him in Abel and in Beth-maachah. I think this is even Abel Beth-maachah. And they cast up a bank against the city that stood in the valley. All the people that was with Joab thrust at the wall to overthrow it. Then cried a wise woman out of the city, Hear, hear, bid Joab come hither, that I may speak with him. When Joab was come unto her, the woman said, Art thou Joab? He answered, I am he. She said unto him, Wow, he's getting close to the wall. That's pretty dangerous. He answered, I am he. She said unto him, Hear the words of thy handmaid. And he answered, I do hear. And she said again, They spake in old time, saying, Men must ask of Abel, and so have they continued hitherto to say, I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel, and thou goest about to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why wilt thou devour the inheritance of the Lord? Joab answered and said, God forbid it me that I should either devour or destroy. The matter is not so. But a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba the son of Bichri by name, hath lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Deliver us him only, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said unto Joab, Behold, his head shall be thrown to thee over the wall. And then the woman went unto all the people with her wisdom, and they smote off the head of Sheba the son of Bichri, and cast it out to Joab. And he blew a trumpet, and they scattered from the city every man to his tent. And Joab returned to Jerusalem unto the king. Joab was over all the host of Israel, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Kerethites and Pelethites, and Ahiram was over the tribute. Jehoshaphat was the son of Ahilud, was recorder, Sheva was scribe, and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests, and Ira the Jairite. Maybe Erite? I think it's Ethrite. I think it's Ira the Ethrite was David's priest. I know he was mentioned earlier. So, 21. 3 dear years of dearth. The vengeance of the sins of Saul lighteth on his 7 sons, which are hanged. 4 great battles, which David had against the Philistines. Then there fell a hunger in the days of David, 3 years together, consecutive. And David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered, It is for Saul and the house of blood, because he slew the Gibeonites. And the king called the Gibeonites, and said unto them, Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but a remnant of the Amorites. And the children of Israel sware unto them, and Saul sought to slay them, for a zeal that he had to the children of Israel and of Judah. Wherefore David said unto them, What shall I do for you, and wherewith shall I make the atonement, that ye may bless the inheritance of the Lord? This is either make atonement to thee, or for thee, or it's make the atonement. Can't tell. Wherefore, wherewith shall I make the atonement? The Gibeonites answered him, We will have no silver, neither gold of Saul, neither of his house. Neither is it our mind that thou shouldst kill any man in Israel. He said, What say ye then that I shall do for you? Whoa. What say ye then that I shall do for you? They answered the king, The man that consumed us and imagined to bring us to naught, him will we destroy, that naught of him continue in any of the coasts of Israel. Let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them up unto the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. And the king said, I will give them you. And the king had compassion on Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, even between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. But he took the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bare unto Saul, even Armoni and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she bare to Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Maholathite. And he delivered them unto the hands of the Gibeonites, which hanged them in the hill before the Lord. And they fell all 7 together, and were slain in the days of harvest, even in the first days, and in the beginning of barley harvest. And Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth, and hanged it up for them upon the rock, even from the beginning of harvest until rain dropped upon them out of heaven, and suffered neither the birds of the air to fall on them by day, nor beasts of the field by night. And it was told David what Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, the concubine of Saul, had done. And David went and took the bones of Saul and of Jonathan his son, from the men of Jabesh and Gilead, which had stolen them from the street of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hanged them, when the Philistines had slain Saul in Gilboa. And he brought thence the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son, and they took up the bones of them that were hanged. And the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son buried they in the country of Benjamin in Zelah, in the sepulchre of Kish his father. And when they had performed all that the king commanded, God was then at one with the land. Atoned. It fortuned that the Philistines had yet war again with Israel, and David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Philistines. And David waxed fainty, and Ishbi, this is Ishbi, I think. Oh, yeah, Ishbi Benob. Ishbi of Nob. Ishbi Benob, one of the sons of the giants, the iron of whose spear weighed 300 shekels, and he, being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David. But Abishai the son of Zeruiah succored him, and smote the Philistine, and killed him. Then the servants of David sware unto him, saying, Thou shalt go no more out with us to battle. Thou quench not the light of Israel. David go no more out. And yet after this there was a battle with the Philistines at Nob again. And then Sibbecai the Hushathite slew Saph, which was one of the sons of the giants. And there was yet another battle in Nob with the Philistines, where Elhanan the son of Jair Oregim, a Bethlehemite, slew one Goliath a Gittite, the staff of whose spear was as great as a weaver's cloth beam. A different Goliath. And there was yet another battle in Gath, where was a man of a great stature, and had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in all, and was born also of the kindred of the giants in Gath. And when he defied Israel, Jonathan the son of Shemaiah, the brother of David, slew him. These 4 giants were born in Gath, and fell into the hand of David, and into the hands of his servants. 22. The song of David for his deliverance from his enemies. And David spake the words of this song unto the Lord, what time the Lord had delivered him out of the hand of all his enemies, and out of the hand of Saul. And he said, The Lord is my rock, and my castle, and my deliverer. God is my strength, in him will I trust. He is my shield. I like this use of castle. What was another word? Can't remember. Did I write it down? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. In him will I trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my worship and my refuge. My Savior, thou shalt save me from wrong. God is my strength, in him will I trust. I will praise and call on the Lord, and so shall I be saved from mine enemies. For the corruptions of death closed me about. The floods of Belial put me in fear. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death overtook me. In my tribulation will I call upon the Lord, and cry to my God, and he shall hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry shall enter into his ears. The earth trembled and quaked. The foundations of heaven moved and shook when he was angry. Smoke went up in his wrath, and consuming fire out of his mouth. Coals were kindled thereof, and he bowed heaven, and came down, and there was darkness under his feet. And he sat upon cherubim, and did fly. He was seen, carried upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness a tabernacle round about him, with waters gathered together in thick clouds. Through the brightness of his presence were the fire coals kindled. Fire coals. God thundered from heaven, and he that is most high doth put out his voice. He shot arrows and scattered them. He hurled lightning and discomfited them. Oh, discomfited is in here. It's usually spelled discomforted. The flowings of the sea appeared, and the foundations of the world were seen, by the reason of the rebuking of the Lord, and through the blasting of the breath of his nostrils. He shall send from heaven and fetch me. He shall pluck me out of many waters. He shall deliver me from my mighty adversary, and from mine enemies, for they are too strong for me. When they had overtaken me in the day of my tribulation, the Lord stayed me up, for he brought me out into Ruth. He delivered me, because he had love unto me. Largeness, Ruth, spelled with a W. And the Lord will reward me according to my righteousness. According to the pureness of my hands will he recompense me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and done no wickedness against my God. For all his ways are in my sight, and his statutes will not I put away from me. In his sight also have I been undefiled, and have kept me from mine own iniquity. And the Lord did to me again according to my righteousness, even after my pureness in his eyesight. With the godly thou shalt be godly, and with the man that is uncorrupt thou shalt be uncorrupt. With the pure thou shalt be pure, and with the froward thou shalt be froward. Is this forward or froward? And the people that are in adversity thou shalt help. And on the proud shalt thou cast thine eyes. Thou art my light, O Lord. The Lord shall light my darkness. For with thy help I will run through an host of men, and in my God will I spring over a wall. God is uncorrupt in his way. The word of the Lord is tried in the fire. He is the defender of all them that trust in him. The word of the Lord is tried in the fire. Well, even David wrote the psalm saying the same. For who is a God save the Lord, and who is mighty save our God? God strengtheneth me with power, or strengtheth me with power, and riddeth the way clear before me. Aha. Riddeth the way of obstacles clear before me. He maketh my feet like hart's feet, and setteth me fast upon my high hold. He teacheth my hands to fight, that even a bow of steel is too weak for mine arms. I like that rendering of a bow of steel is broken in my hand, in my arms, because it is too weak. Thou hast given me the shield of thy salvation, and with thy loving meekness thou dost multiply me. Thou shalt make me space to walk in, and my legs shall not fail me. I will follow upon mine enemies and destroy them, and turn not again until I have consumed them. I will waste them and smite them, that they shall not be able to arise, yea, they shall fall under my feet. Thou hast girded me about with might to battle, and them that rose against me hast thou subdued under me. And thou madest mine enemies, and them that hated me, to turn their backs to me, that I might destroy them. They look for help, but there is none to save them. Yea, even unto the Lord do they cry, but he heareth them not. I usually think of Paul as the one kind of exemplifying boasting in the Lord. David boasts in the Lord here, majorly. This is the prime example. Yea, even unto the Lord do they cry, but he heareth them not. I will beat them as small as the dust of the earth. I will stamp them as the dirt of the street, and will spread them abroad. Thou shalt deliver me from the dissension of my people. Oh yeah, thou shalt keep me to be an head over nations. The people which I knew not shall serve me. Or a people which I knew not. Dissension. Strange children, or strangers' children, dissemble with me. At the hearing of the ear they obey me. Strange children will shrink away, and they shall be smitten with fear in their privy chamber. God is alive and blessed. Blessed be my Maker. Magnified be God, my most strong salvation. It is God that avengeth me, and bringeth down the people under me. He delivereth me from mine enemies. Thou also shalt lift me up on high from them that rise against me. Thou shalt deliver me from the wicked men. And therefore I will praise thee, O Lord, among the nations, and will sing unto thy name, which showeth great salvation for his king, and dealeth mercifully with his anointed, even with David, and with his seed forevermore. 23. The last communication of David and the description of the mighty men to him belonging. One second here. These be the last sayings of David. David the son of Jesse said, and the man which was made the anointed of the God of Jacob, and a noble psalmist of Israel, said, The Spirit of the Lord spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. The God of Israel spake of me. Even the most mighty of Israel said. Is this by me? Spake by me? He that beareth rule over men ought to rule justly in the fear of God. And as the morning light when the sun is up, a morning in which are no clouds to let the brightness, or hinder the brightness, and as the grass of the earth is by the virtue of the rain. As the morning light when the sun is up, and as the grass of the earth is by the virtue of the rain, is not my house so with God? For he hath made with me an everlasting covenant, perfect and sure in all points, and this is truly all my health and all my desire, that it grow. But the ungodly man of Belial shall be as a thorn clean plucked up, which cannot be taken with hands. But the man that shall touch them must have iron or a long helve, or else must they be burnt with fire in the same place. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. One that sat in the seat of wisdom, being chiefest among three, pleasant was he and strong. He slew 800 at one time. They don't name him. That's right. Who is this? Chapter 23. Chapter 23. Who is this supposed to be? Oh, wow. He's not named here either. The same was Adino the Eznite. Whoa. Okay, so they translated his name into phrases. The Tachmonite is the one that sat in the seat of wisdom. No, that sat in the seat. Wisdom probably corresponds to Tachmonite. The same was Adino the Eznite. Pleasant was he and strong. They translated out his name. The same was pleasant and strong. The same was Adino the Eznite. That's neat. Huh. He slew 800 at one time. After him was Eleazar the son of Dodai, the son of Ahoi. Who's that? The Ahoite. One of the three worthies with David, which defied the Philistines that were gathered together to battle. When the men of Israel were gone up, he arose and laid on the Philistines until his hand was weary, and clave unto the sword. And the Lord gave great victory the same day. And the people which had fled returned and went after him to run to the spoil. After him was Shammah the son of Aggai, the Hararite, And the Philistines gathered together beside a town where was a parcel of land full of rice, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it, and slew the Philistines, and the Lord gave great victory. These three, which were of the 30 chief captains, went down to David in the harvest time unto the cave Adullam, and the host of the Philistines abode in the valley of giants. And David was then in an hold, and the soldiers of the Philistines were in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, Oh, that I had of the water that is in the well by the gate of Bethlehem for to drink. And the three mighty brake through the host of the Philistines, and fetched water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took and brought it to David. Nevertheless he would not drink thereof, but offered it unto the Lord, and said, The Lord forbid that I should do so. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? And therefore he would not drink it. And these things did these three mighty men. Abishai the brother of Joab the son of Zeruiah was chief among the three. And he lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and had the name among the three. For he was nobler man than the three, and was their captain. Howbeit he attained not unto the first three. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, the son of a mighty man, valiant in acts, of Kabzeel, slew 2 strong lions, even lions of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in a pit in time of snow. So this is some kind of person or giant. Apparently. Maybe not. That's a theory that I've heard. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly big man, which had a spear in his hand. But he went down to him with a staff, and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand, and slew him with his own spear. These things did Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and had the name among the three worthies. He was honorable among 30, but he attained not to the first three. And David made him of his counsel. Asahel the brother of Joab also was one of the 30. Then Elhanan the son of Dodo of Bethlehem, Sanma the Haronite, Elika the Harodite, Elika, Helez the Paltite, Ira the son of Achesh the Tekoite, Abiezer of Anathoth, Meobenai the Hushathite, Zelmon and Ahoite, Maharai the Netophathite, Heleb the son of Bana a Netophathite, Itai the son of Ribai, out of the hill of the children of Benjamin, Benaiah the Pirathonite, Hedai of the river of Gash, Abialbon the Arbathite, Asmaveth a Barhumite, Eliahba a Shalbonite, and the sons of Jashen, Jashen, Jonathan, Shammah the Hararite, Ahijam the son of Sharar, the Hararite, Eliphalet the son of Asbai, the son of a Maacathite, Eliam the son of Ahitopel the Gilonite, Itzrai the Carmelite, Parai the Arbite, Egal the son of Nathan of Zobah, Bani the Gadite, Zelek an Ammonite, Naharai a Berothite, which was the harness bearer of Joab the son of Zeruiah, Ira the Ethrite, Gareb the Etherite, Uriah the Hittite, 37 in all. David causeth the people to be numbered, and therefore is Israel plagued with pestilence, such that in 3 days there died 70,000. And again the Lord was wroth against Israel, and David moved himself the Lord against them, in that he said, Go and number Israel and Judah. For the king said to Joab the captain of his host, Go thou abroad now throughout all the tribes of Israel, even from Dan to Beersheba, and number ye the people, that I may know the number of them. And Joab said unto the king, I beseech the Lord thy God to make the people as many more as they be, yea, and 100 times so many more, and that the eyes of my lord the king may see them. And what is the cause that my lord the king hath a lust or a desire to do this thing? Notwithstanding, the king's word prevailed against Joab and against the captains of the host. And Joab and the captains of the host went out from the presence of the king to number the people of Israel. And they passed over Jordan and pitched in a roar on the right side of the city that lieth in the middle, in the midst of the valley of Gad, over against Jazer. And then they came to Gilead and to the nether land, where was a new habitation, with the lower land. And from thence they came to Danjan, about to Zidon, and came to the stronghold of Tyre, and to all the cities of the Hivites and of the Canaanites, and then went out to the south of Judah, even to Beersheba. And so, when they had been abroad throughout all the land, they returned to Jerusalem again after the end of 9 months and 20 days. And Joab delivered up the number and sum of the people unto the king, and there were in Israel 900,000 men of might that drew swords, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men. David's heart smote him after that he had numbered the people, and David said unto the Lord, I have sinned exceedingly in that I have done, that which I have done. And now, Lord, take away the trespass of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly. And when David was up in the morning, the word of the Lord came unto the prophet Gad, David's seer, saying, Go and say unto David, Thus saith the Lord, I offer thee 3 things, choose thee which of them I shall do unto thee. So Gad came to David and showed him, and said unto him, Wilt thou have 7 years' hunger to come in thy land, or wilt thou flee 3 months before thine enemies, they following thee, or that there be 3 days' pestilence in thy land? Now therefore advise thee, and see what answer I shall give to him that sent me. And see what answer I shall give. And David said unto Gad, I am in extreme trouble. We will fall now into the hand of the Lord, for much is his mercy, and let me not fall into the hand of man. And so the Lord sent a pestilence in Israel, from the morning unto the time appointed. And there died of the people from Dan to Beersheba 70,000 men. And when the angel stretched out his hand upon Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord had compassion to do that. Repented. Had compassion regarding doing that evil. The Lord had compassion to do that evil, and said to the angel that destroyed the people, It is now sufficient, hold thine hand. And the angel was by the threshing place of Araunah the Jebusite. David spake unto the Lord when he saw the angel that smote the people, and said, Lo, it is I that have sinned, and I that have done wickedly. But these sheep, what have they done? Let thine hand, I pray thee, be against me and against my father's house. And Gad came the same day to David, and said unto him, Go up and rear an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. And David, according to the saying of Gad, went up as the Lord commanded. And Araunah looked, and saw the king and his servants coming toward him. And Araunah went out, and bowed himself before the king, flat on his face upon the ground. And Araunah said, Wherefore is my lord the king come to his servant? David answered, To buy the threshing floor of thee, and to make an altar unto the Lord, that the plague may cease from the people. And Araunah said unto David, Let my lord the king take and offer what seemeth him good in his eyes. Behold, here be oxen for burnt sacrifice, and sleds, and the other instruments of the oxen for wood. All these things did Araunah give unto the king, and said moreover unto the king, The Lord thy God accept thee. And the king said unto Araunah, Not so, but I will buy it of thee at a price, and will not offer sacrifice unto the Lord my God of that which doth cost me nothing. And so David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver, and David built there an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt sacrifices and peace offerings. And so the Lord was entreated for the land, and the plague was ceased from Israel. The plague ceased from Israel. The end of the 2nd book of Samuel, also called the 2nd book of Kings. The 3rd book of Kings, after the reckoning of the Latin, which 3rd book, and the 4th also, is but one with the Hebrews. According to the Hebrews. So this is actually the 1st Kings. Oh, they have this. Oh. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and call that a session. We'll continue tomorrow with 1st Kings. So thank you all for watching. Anybody who stopped in for a little bit here and there, or even watching the VOD, I appreciate that very much. I don't expect anyone to sit in for a 4-hour reading session. But I'm just reading through it, front to back. So, thanks for tuning in. God bless you. I love you. Good night.